Today on
Doomed!
What do you do when a right-wing grifter calls for violence against people who do drag? And basically a call for violence on the LGBTQ community as a whole. Well, for one regular listener of this show and activist, they decided to go down to the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus tour to basically crash it and confront the guy. And I am really looking forward to doing this episode of the show because I've been watching this video for like a week or two now. It was sent to me. This was about a week or two now. Let me pull our guest here up, joining me now. You all know her if you watch this show. Here we go. Rem, aka missheathen. She's a filmmaker, musician, photographer, activist, and she runs the Instagram account Anti-Fascist General. Rem, thank you so much for joining me as a guest on this episode of the show, which, you know, usually when we talk on the show, you're calling in just to say what's going on, you know, to bring up a topic of conversation. But this time, you are the guest bringing me news, bringing me on the ground news of something that you were a part of. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, Matt. Yeah, it was a weird thing that I just kind of got up and just did. So, yeah.
No, I think
I'm ready to go.
Listen, I think it's really cool when someone, first of all, sends me, who listens to this show, sends me videos or audio of, you know, them on the ground taking action in some way, whether it be, you know, just confronting someone and putting them on the spot and asking them to, you know, back up what they've said. Because a lot of these people talk big talk online and then they never want to interact with anyone. And when they finally do get called out, they can't handle it. It seems like this happened. That scenario is what happened here. We're going to play a little bit of the video in the background while we talk in a minute. I think it's better for you to actually walk us through it than actually, because the audio, it's not like, you know, because this guy, what's his name again? Maj Toure?
Yeah, Maj Toure, something like that. He slightly changed his name. That's his like rapper name or something. I'm not really sure.
You know, he walks out into the crowd, and so it's hard to hear him in some of these videos, but you'll walk us through it. So first of all, tell me what it was that this guy tweeted out that caught your attention.
Well, I wasn't on Twitter. I didn't even know who this person was. I had an anonymous tip, someone sending me a message on my Instagram, and then I go and check it out, and it's Maj posted that tweet on his story on his Instagram, and I decided to just look at the comments, and I noticed that he's in there planning more attacks with his followers, and he said to one of his followers that. One of his followers said, like, hey, you should come here to Austin. We have quite a few here, meaning drag queen story hour events or something. And then Maj replied, like, oh, I'm here in Austin tonight and tomorrow. And like, I'll be sure to look out for that. And
before this, he had tweeted out, he you know, it got him just temporarily suspended from Twitter because it was a straight up violent rhetoric in terms of, you know,
his whole Twitter account went down. His whole Twitter account went down.
Oh, so it's still down.
He has a new one that's up. So
I mean, but that's still crazy that his old one's still down. Actually, wow, I didn't even realize that. Yeah, that's a big deal on this Twitter. You know what I mean? Sure. With Elon Musk running the show.
Right, it's the free speech comedy app. So
Right. So he tweeted
Weird
out
that he didn't get away with that.
this is what got him suspended, and I called it out because this is 100% an explicit policy violation. And even on the new Twitter, they are explicit in calls for actual physical violence
Right.
against a group of people are a policy violation. Period. That is their standard. And
Exactly.
he tweeted out, and this is a reference to I think it was like a casino, a scene in Casino or Goodfellas, but that doesn't matter because it wasn't a joke. Because he's very specific here. Because the added parts from him are not part of the scene. That it's him actually just admitting that he's serious about it. If you do a drag queen story hour for children in my community, I'ma pull up and assault you. I'll be arrested. By the time I bail out and you reschedule another one, I'll pull up again, smack the fuck out of you once more because I don't give a fuck. Hashtag bail money on deck. I mean, it doesn't get more explicitly,
A lot of
explicit than that. I mean, come on.
It's a lot of big talk. Yeah, yeah. And I
Right.
knew that too. I knew that this was a violation for Twitter's TOS as well. That's why I was like, holy shit, I might actually have something here. And then when he said he was going to be in Austin, I'm like, oh shit. So I decided to go to his Twitter to check it out and see if it got taken down or something. And no, it was still up. He was still defending it, and he was still getting mad. He was getting he thinks he was like doing something cool and standing up for kids and stuff, but he's not. He was wanting to
Yeah,
attack drag queens
I'm pulling up the tweet so people can see. This is a
for
screenshot.
sure.
This was Mike calling him out. This is Maj Toure, or Maj Toure. Truthfully, I don't give a shit how it's
No,
pronounced. Um, and this is, he got a lot of interactions on this, but I got a lot more.
yes, you did.
I mean, I'm gonna, without a doubt, take credit for this guy not being there because on Twitter anymore because it's impossible. Twitter did not see this tweet from me. Um, and this guy apparently continued on a secondary account, and you saw he was coming to your hometown in Texas as part of the
Not my
libertarian.
hometown.
Not your hometown,
Sorry.
okay. You're in your state. The
For sure.
Libertarian Party. I always forget if it's Mises or Mises. I think it's
It's one
Mises.
of those.
Yeah. Again, I don't give a shit about libertarian names.
For sure, for sure.
Libertarian Party Mises Caucus tour. And so you decided to go down and crash it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be respectful in any way. Um, and I decided to just go because he was blasting it all over Twitter that he was going to be in Austin at this hotel. I'm like, oh shit, that's just downtown. I can easily get there. And I was very excited. So I showed up, and there's all these like rows of tables of this libertarian junk, books and Ayn Rand stuff. Maybe I can't really remember, but the spiel. So I'm kind of just waiting for him for him to show up at like 2:30 or something like that, or at that day. And then I'm like, I go inside just to see if I can get in, and I could. And then there was Moonlord yammering on about psychedelics and space and other stuff. None of it was coherent. He was just kind of rambling on. So I kind of stuck around for a little bit. I asked him a question, and then he didn't answer it. He kind of went off on his own thing. He didn't even say thank you for the question or anything. It was kind of weird. Um, but then when his thing was over, Mad was going to come up next, and I'm like, where is he? I don't even see him in the crowd or anything. So I leave for a moment to go outside for like a break or something, and then Magic walks right by me. I'm like, oh shit, there he is. That's funny. Um,
I'm gonna start playing the video of his
Go for it.
thing in the
Yeah, for sure.
background. I'm gonna bring us up on the feed too, so people can see. Um, All right, go ahead. So you walk past him. This is people are watching on the YouTube channel right now. Him on stage, and I guess at some point you walk past him and you see him, and then he goes up on stage, starts talking, and take it from there. What happens? What was he talking about at the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus tour to begin with?
At the very beginning, he was basically calling them all out that there's not enough black people here, and he goes over he goes over to his friend.
Ah!
Right.
Oh man, I don't.
Exactly.
What? Why don't more black people show up at the event for the political party that centers front that has that's main process of belief front and center is states' rights. I wonder. I wonder why that is. And I wonder. I
Yeah,
wonder
you would
what
think. You,
states. I
you would
wonder what
think.
states' rights. I wonder what states' rights were historically used.
Yeah, and he goes to
as
point out
as
the
the
only
defense.
black guy in the
Right.
audience, and he's not even there at the time. So he
That's
took a
fuck.
break.
That's fucking
It was pretty funny.
hilarious.
So then
That
he
is.
started to talk about some sort of tweet, some other tweet that was not relevant to that one. So it felt like he was kind of gearing up to talk about that tweet because he was getting a lot of attention for it. And people seemed upset, and he thought he was doing something. Oh, everyone's upset. I must be doing something right. Something like one of those moments. So then I just interrupted him because he said I could. At the very beginning, I don't want people to interrupt me. It's okay. It's fine. And then, and then he literally didn't let me interrupt him at all. Um, but I asked him about his violent tweet against drag queens, trans people and drag queens. But I should have said just drag queens. But at the same time, I guess it doesn't matter because as soon as I said that, he got uh, immediately hyper focused on me, and then he asked me straight
Well,
up,
if you're
"Did you
watching on the
did
YouTube
you?"
channel right now, as we talk, people watching the YouTube channel right now, he leaves the stage and he's writing like you guys must be 2-3 feet apart max,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's just going off on you, not letting you talk. He's still using his microphone. I'll pull up the audio just for a little bit so people could hear.
Give me the mic. I thought you kind of would, but I guess it doesn't matter.
So he's in front of you. You bring up his tweets, and what is his response to you?
He's immediately asking me to read the whole tweet, and I don't know what that means. Or read the whole thread.
You should have said, "I can't." You got suspended. I can't pull
Well,
up the
actually, he
tweet.
wasn't suspended then. He wasn't
Oh,
suspended
he
then,
wasn't.
actually. He
Oh,
was
okay.
suspended like the next day. The next day he was suspended. So I told him I'm not going to pull up the tweet. I'm kind of recording this right now, and but the audio wasn't recorded, so my footage wasn't very useful. Um, but yeah, he was very upset that I wasn't bringing up the context. I'm like, no, Madge, I'm not going to bring up your additional tweets because you got caught. I want to talk about your initial tweet of how you're targeting drag queens. And he wanted so badly for everyone to forget about that. He likes to say that he meant anybody reading sexual books to babies. And then I asked him, where is that happening? And he couldn't answer that. And he just told me like next. And then he tried to ignore me.
Also,
I'm like,
wait,
oh,
did he
okay.
say sexual books to babies?
Yes.
What
In
is
his
that even?
tweet. And then he tried
What?
to,
Oh, that was in his
I
tweet. What
don't
is that?
know. I don't know.
What does that even
I
mean?
don't know.
Is there
I
someone
don't
reading?
know. I
Is
don't know.
there
I
someone
asked them
reading?
like, what books? You got to show me the books. When did this happen? Show me this location, this time,
Is there
the
someone reading
names.
like Kama
Uh,
Sutra to toddlers? Like what the? What does that even mean?
I honestly have no idea. I guess it's just the right wing and the libertarians. They just have no idea what sex is, and they have a warped idea of it. And it's kind of interesting. You kind of they kind of just melt when you just kind of you're in their presence. And so immediately he had to ask me if I was trans, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm trans, but that's not relevant right now. I want to talk about your tweet. And then he tries to say, oh, did you know that my cousin was trans? No, I don't know who you are. And that's not how that works. What if I said, I have a black friend, therefore I'm not racist? It's kind of ridiculous.
Right.
A little exercise he was doing, and he was just very upset. And you could tell, and I should have told him to stay away from me. Like, you didn't have to get that close, but he just wanted to dominate the conversation. And immediately he said he's going to destroy me. And then he's like, okay, go ahead, say what you want to say. And I tried, and he kept telling me, no, read the other tweet. But you're saying the same thing. You want to be violent. Give violence a chance. Violence is okay when you do it. And he thinks he's standing up for people and protecting kids, but it's just all posturing. He's trying to, I don't know, get attention like they all do. And he thinks he can jump on the anti-trans, anti-drag queen bandwagon and then get protected. But then, his tweet got taken down, and then he got a little annoyed that he had to get all of his followers back. So he's kind of getting up there. Not as high as he used to be, but whatever.
Right.
I was kind of hoping he couldn't get back on, but it's ban evasion, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
He has a Twitter account. I'm looking at it right now with 20,000 followers. That's actually, I mean, he's still far away from what he had before. I mean, he's not going to get that.
I had a good guess. I had a good guess that he had at least 20,000 by now. Is at first when he posted that he is like, this is my new account. And a lot of people, by the way, were trying to, especially redheaded libertarian, was like, hey, Elon Musk, oh my God, Maj was taken down, oh my God. Everybody was kind of complaining, not everybody, but like maybe 10 people were complaining that Maj's account was completely taken down. They thought that was unfair. I'm like, well, he made a direct attack on drag queens. Drag queens doing story hour. He's gonna pull up and start doing violence. And I asked him, like, where is this happening? That's all I was really saying. I just wanted an answer, and he just did the showman thing, and it was kind of roaming around the room and very upset. And he got everybody laughing, and I'm just like, well, why are you all laughing? You're just kind of you're not really listening to me. But it's okay. Whatever.
Right.
He tried to ignore me. He tried to continue on. Next question. And then someone tried to talk, and I'm like, oh, this motherfucker. No. And I tried to interrupt again. And then people started getting mad at me, like, okay, you're going to have to leave. And I'm like, okay, I'll leave. I was pretty steamed. And then when I left,
He told you had to
lady,
leave?
not Madge, but everybody else told me to leave, especially one of these organizers told me to leave. And when I left, I went outside just to get some air, mainly because I was very frustrated, but whatever. I guess it went well, I suppose, because he just kind of lost it. But this lady came up behind me. What was her name? She gave me her card. Her name was Elizabeth D. Miller, JD, Autonomous Texan. And she was like, I'm so glad you came by. Oh my God, this is so great. I'm like, yeah, well, you platformed a violent person. I don't think that's cool. And she just tried to play it all off. And then Moonlord comes up right behind her and starts talking to me. And I immediately said, I'm like, oh yeah, Matt Bender's a big fan of you. It'd be really cool if you go on. I tried to just change the subjects. I'm like, I'm kind of done. I'm not gonna talk about this anymore because because he tried to talk to me while Madge was ignoring me at the table. And I'm just like, no, you're not understanding. He made a direct threat to drag queens, and you're all trying to erase that. He's trying to erase it. He's trying to say it's anybody trying to be violent. Or not violent. He's trying to say anybody reading sexual books to babies or sexual things to kids. So that one clip, I can send it to you from David versus Goliath. This is an important part. This is where he shuts me down, and at the very end, you can kind of hear me. Let's see here. You can probably find it at the end of the other video, but you might be able to hear me better in this one. I sent it to you on your Twitter. It's very interesting how he just kind of had to scream out his context tweet. He's very mad. He tried to act like I was trying to erase his words or or erase what he said. I'm like, I'm not. I don't want to talk about your context. That's not how context works. Usually context is before, usually. But
Oh,
he was trying to like
this is a
add
good
things.
much closer. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead. I'm pulling it right now.
He's just trying, for sure, for sure. He was just trying to get everyone to forget about the initial tweet, even though he was proud of it. And he's not going to back down. He's tough. You know, he's a manly man. And I'm like, yeah, I got that. I got that very, 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 very quickly. But he was just
I'm
very
pulling up.
fixated.
I'm putting up the video right now. Let's. I don't think you'll be able to hear it on your end, but people could hear it. It's only 15 seconds, so just hang tight, Rem. 1 second.
Yeah,
Here we
no
go.
worries,
This is
no
the
worries,
clip
no worries. Go for it.
This is the clip Rem was just talking about from her confrontation with Maj Toure, whatever Toure. Here we go.
When you're reading sexual things to children in my community, I am going to assault you. Can you explain to me where that's happening?
Wait, what?
Did you catch my thing? Did you catch my voice? Did you hear me?
I actually paused it right before because I had to laugh. I'm gonna play it again from the beginning. Here we go, one more time.
Right,
here we go.
No,
when you're
no
reading
worries.
sexual things to children in my community, I am going to assault you. Can you explain to me where that's happening? No! Explain to me where
No, next question!
Explain.
Yeah, of course. He tried to. He wouldn't let you continue talking. This is also. I want to make it clear. This is also. Again, this is a Libertarian Party event. We're not talking about the far right MAGA people. We're ostensibly supposed to be talking about the civil liberty section of the center right wing. These people are supposed to be all about for freedom and liberty. And they're cheering assaulting people based on this guy's bad faith framing of a situation that has, as far as I know, not happened. Yes.
That's what conservatives do. They make up something that's not real, and then they get mad at it or scared of it. And this is exactly how they fearmonger each other. And libertarians are basically shifting to the right. You can easily see this. And this is why I've always been wary of libertarians. I've always made friends with them in the past when I was younger, and I was basically raised by right-wingers and conservatives and Christians and libertarians. But they've always disturbed me. They always frustrated me. I've always butted heads with them. So I just thought this would be an interesting moment. I didn't think he was going to be so abrasive, but he was very aggressive. If everyone can just study the video if they want to, you can clearly see he was being aggressive, and he wanted to control the situation. I don't know why. I was just asking a simple question. Where are these things happening that you're claiming? And I'm proving you're a liar. I'm proving you're full of shit. You're not gonna hurt anybody because you've been arrested before. So me and Renee were doing a lot of research about him, and someone on Twitter recently, I think, I forgot to include that in the stuff, but this person found his arrest record. Now his name is Maj Toure, and it has a Y at the end instead. He took off the Y and called himself Maj. So he apparently these what do you call them? These things were withdrawn of his sexual assaults or hanging out with minors, drinking with minors. And then there was some sort of counterfeit fraud of some kind that didn't get withdrawn, ironically enough, because that's what he is. He's a grifter. He's a t-shirt salesman. He's all about arming the black community, which is just kind of fake to me. It's not real. He's just grifting. And I watched him in an interview because someone was saying, like, how do you know this is real? How do you know that these documents are real? I'm like, oh, he's admitted it on camera on his other show where these two other black men were talking to him, and they were kind of like going almost the whole time. And you can kind of see that Maj was just fake and full of shit. He was almost acting like a beta male in that interview. It was kind of weird. Interesting how things turn, you know. I like how Dave called me a woke white woman. Pretty funny. I didn't realize like standing up to bullies, violent bullies, was wokeness. Interesting. They just call everything they don't like woke. It's their it's weird. It's insanely ironic, and you can see there's this other trans woman there, and I'm calling her just a token trans person.
I guess at the
I
guess the very least though you can take solace in knowing that you know, you confronted him and he basically addressed you by the appropriate gender. Which it doesn't seem like if he was talking
kind of
okay,
because this is the thing though, he was being kind of rude though. He was like, what are your he's like doing this stuff, what are your pronouns, and I'm like, she, her, just whatever. So he said, so she, her says no, you can just say one of them, you don't have to say both. I'm like, this is just a distraction. You're distracting everybody with all this stuff. You're not really answering my question.
I never considered that. Do these guys think that you have to use both of them at the same time? Is this for real?
Kind of do.
Kind of
do, but they're just being. But remember, Maj has a transgender cousin, so it's okay that he is a bigot. It's okay. You have free reign. I didn't know that. I've dated a black woman, so therefore I can just be as racist as I want now because I have black friends. Apparently, it's just the logic in these people that they're wishy-washy. It's always in the moment.
I never considered the idea that that they actually might think that. I think some of them might actually really do think that.
It was very annoying, you know, she, her, and I'm like, just say one of them, and it doesn't matter. Maj, like, I kind of wish you just let me speak for just at least 3 minutes straight without you interrupting, because he kind of tried to act like I was interrupting him, and especially all of his followers were like, why won't they let Maj speak? I'm like, are you joking? He has the fucking microphone. What do you mean let him speak? Jesus Christ. They always have this victim complex at the same time. They act tough, but somehow they're victims. It's very strange. I just don't know why they're so scared of me. I don't get it. Like they laughed at me like I'm silly, but like you guys won't let me call him out on his nonsense. This tweet is nonsense. It's violence. And he just wanted to erase the fact that he said drag queen story hour. But who else is going to be reading these books, Maj? Drag queens are going to be reading these books, and you're going to slap them in front of children? You're going to be violent in front of kids? Interesting. I didn't realize that this is how you work. And again, like I said before, he has an arrest record of being violent, apparently, especially with his ex, and apparently has a kid, I think. I'm not exactly sure. I don't really remember, because he was talking about his ex in that one interview I watched. I watched a little bit of it though. And again, his connection with the Mises Caucus Institute, and Mises is like named after this old fuck von Mises or something.
Yes,
I
know exactly who he is. I never pronounce the name right. That's pretty much it. There's an institute. They are obsessed. I mean, it's either Ayn Rand or Mises.
Right. So, and ironically enough, Tim Pool is a part of the Mises Caucus. That's I guess that's kind of why Moonlord was there, I suppose. Interesting enough, Destiny showed up like before.
Destiny was there
somewhere else. Not there for that night. It was a different night and maybe in a different place. I don't quite remember, so I'm gonna have to look that up and see exactly where he was. But that would have been interesting too.
I do have to say, I did receive a DM. I noticed it late. I need to get back to him, but I did receive a DM. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna pull it up, not on the feed, but I'm gonna read it. So I will pull up. It's nothing private.
Right. No worries.
I respect DMs, which is why it was such a big deal when I I pulled the DM out the other night on that ridiculously bad
Right.
faith debate. Let's see, where is this?
That was a disaster, by the way.
Yeah. So Ian of Tim Pool's show, who I have not met, I want to make it clear, I was on Tim Pool's show, but Ian was not there. Moonlord was not there when I was on. And
Right.
I this is before you told me you were there at this event, and I receive a message from him. Hey man, I met one of your fans at a Mises Caucus event we did today. They seem Ian seems to have misgendered you, but perhaps it was an accident. Because he doesn't seem like the type to do that. I hope.
I literally said she, her in front of him. He was sitting right there. Anyway, whatever. Go ahead, continue.
So definitely then, yeah. I was just being facetious when I said he doesn't seem like the type. They said you liked me and that we should do a show together. I thought it'd be cool. Do you do streams on your show? I am also starting up an interview show on my channel. So I mean, he reached out because of you, and then I found out it was because of you, and I was like, that's really funny that you were there doing this. Yeah.
But yeah, Moonlord's very nice. He's but the shit he talks about is very fucked up, of course.
I just realized
I feel like we can save Moonlord. I feel like we can save him. Honestly, we can steal Moonlord from Tim. I think we can do it.
His
it's kind of a running joke for myself and Renee at this point.
His header, his Twitter header, is him with Maj Toure.
Wow, really,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
funny.
I mean, and also with the Libertarian redhead or redheaded Libertarian, the one that Elon Musk loves replying to now.
Right, she said out loud during when he got on stage, like she like, I'm a big fan of you, Maj, and Maj is like, I'm a big fan of you too. And I'm like, Jesus, you two, get a room. Gross. Like, it was kind of weird moment there. There was not very many people there. It was very few people were there. God, I kind of wish we could play the clip of me asking Moonlord a question, because he was talking about Mars and terraforming Mars and how Elon Musk is gonna, make that happen. And I asked him, I'm like, how are you gonna do that with the electromagnetic field being low and there's a very thin atmosphere? Like, you can't really just plant seeds. You can't just throw water on Mars. There's also a lot of radiation, because since there's no shield around this planet, there's a ton of radiation. So it's going to take like maybe 100,000 years to terraform. I mean, I'm guessing. I don't really know. But and then he was correct. Ian was corrected by one of the presidents or leaders of the Libertarian Party of Texas. He says to Ian to read this book by a scientist talking about terraforming Mars or something. It was kind of funny because Ian was just doing a stream of consciousness thing and just kind of rambling. It was very funny. And it was kind of awkward too. Not a lot of people had very many questions other than just, I'm not sure. He would just go off on these tangents. It's very funny. But anyway, everyone's connections to Mises Caucus is very fascinating. This is a very interesting organization, and a bunch of sister organizations connected to it.
Yes, I mean it's. I will say that it's interesting that this it is part of the broader sort of Libertarian Party, which gets very little sort of people could see in that video. Very few people showed up at this event, right? You were there. What would you say the attendance was? Like 100 people?
20 people?
Really?
People?
Wow! Whoa! Wow, that's even less than I assumed. Yeah, I mean it's just not catching on, because it's the same rhetoric, but marketed as it being not. And the right even won't respond to that. They're like, no, we want you to be as fascist as possible.
Yeah, I said that to his face, by the way. He's like we should find common ground, and you're not my enemy, and I'm like, you're my enemy, and he's like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, you're a fascist, and everyone was kind of laughing, like, it's not funny, it's true, you're a fascist, 100%.
Right. Was there
I
any
mean it.
while you were there? Was there any other interesting things you saw, speeches or interactions or anything that was noteworthy to you?
No, no, I just showed up and I wanted to go inside and see if I can go inside. And then there was Moonlord yammering on. And I'm like, that's crazy. So I recorded that for a little bit, asked the question, and I left. And then Madge came on. And then I let Madge talk for a little bit because I wanted him to like get all warmed up or something. At least I wanted to see if he was going to talk about that tweet. And it looked like he was going to get close.
Because it was that
But
day, right?
apparently not.
Right.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So yeah, that it disturbed some people when they saw that tweet. It disturbed a lot of people, honestly. And he thought this was like a sure thing. Like he'll get protected somehow because he thinks he can just say this stuff online and not get in trouble, or just get confronted. I bet he didn't think he was going to get confronted at all. And he's just a bully, honestly. At least he tried to bully me. And I found it kind of funny how they all told me to leave. I'm like, you told me I can interrupt you. You told everybody that you can get interrupted, but of course I can't do it for some reason.
Right. Right. Well, that's the usual runaround you get from these guys, where they'll talk big, but when confronted, actually, that's when it falls apart. Because if he let you get a word in edgewise, he would have to drop his talking points and actually address something that he's not prepared to address.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
It was very,
that's
very frustrating.
right. Right. But I saw the video. I think you handled yourself great, as best as you could, being that the dude had a microphone and wouldn't stop talking while you were just trying to completely calmly try to address exactly what he challenged people to do. And you held your own, and it says the world that they told you to leave. It says the world that they told you to leave after that very cordial, you didn't
I was
interrupt
kind of
him.
screaming. I was kind of screaming a little bit because he was just kind of talking so loud.
Well, right.
And,
You tried to basically get yourself heard. It's not like you were, it's not like you were, disrupting the event. You had heard him say just before that, say something. Although it would have been
telling him.
I mean, although you had every right to disrupt the event too.
Right. I kept telling him, you said that we can interrupt you. And I'm doing that. I'm not going to leave until you all tell me to go, basically. I'm here to crash the party. I really was. Because fuck these people.
Right.
Oh, and here is an interesting thing, actually. In Redheaded Libertarian's tweet of me and Madge's beef, below in the comments, Ian is in there, and he says, my only regret is that I did not issue a roundtable sit down with Madge and the audience member to hash it out one-on-one. 2 mics and a computer is all we need to get to the bottom of this. Good show. And then Redheaded Libertarian responded. She says, I told Libertarian Lockpod, some other person that was there, I wanted to talk with her too. So they wanted me at the end of the whole thing. They had this like a row of people discussing things. I think you can see their video is still up on their YouTube, the Mises Caucus YouTube or some Libertarian Party YouTube. And I guess I would have been included, But what would be the point of that? They're just going to do the same thing. And I'd rather not hang out with fascists all night long.
Right. Right. I mean, it would have been interesting, but they have no right to your time. Honestly, you don't have to put yourself through any of that.
Right. Yeah. Right. For sure.
Rem,
Was not interested.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's interesting that Moonlord's position is that all it takes is 2 microphones and a computer. I mean, it really doesn't actually. What would actually get to the bottom of an issue would be 2 people sitting down and discussing things without turning it into content. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. I mean, that's an interesting look.
For sure.
That's an interesting look into that mindset that we'll just create the right content and everything will be solved. No, that's not gonna fix anything. If 2 people want to actually hash it out legit, they'll talk mano a mano.
To give Moonlord some credit, I mean, he would be easier to talk to if you didn't have Tim Pool like interrupting him and getting pissed at him. I'm gonna reach out
to Ian right now, and it's gonna be all because of you, and we're gonna get something set up. And I'm gonna think because I do think it'll be interesting. I am. That's a great point.
It would be.
I am interested in hearing him with time, because he usually gets cut off. Like, he's one of those, like, he'll either be the voice of reason, or he'll say something so fucking far out insane that you have to wonder if he even knows what he's saying.
Right.
But
he's
I
getting
do wonder,
like red pilled by these people for sure.
I mean, it's sort of like a wait a minute, let him cook scenario, but they never let him cook because they just cut him off.
Right. I said that to Ian's face actually. Oh yeah. Tim Pool never lets you talk. That's really bad. You should go on Matt Bender's show instead, because he'll let you talk. I think he kind of liked that idea. So and then we don't have to play this video now. I made a little video. It's mainly just a still image, and then there's some like footage of Ian's like band or something, because it kind of fit well with what was being discussed by Lance when he got back home and had a video talking about his time at Tim's compound. And then behind the scenes, they were talking about gender and stuff, and then Moonlord brought up porn, and then things got really interesting. So you should play this video. I sent it to you in your Twitter. You'd have to kind of scroll up a little bit, maybe. But definitely play this. The audio is just Lance talking about how like porn can't indoctrinate you, can't turn you trans, it can't turn you gay. And it's very interesting with how Moonlord was like paying so much attention to me. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why I mattered so much. I guess I just struck a chord with these people, I suppose. I'm not really sure.
You're talking about I'm grabbing it right now. You're talking about the Moonlord edit you made?
Yes.
All right, let's watch it. It's only a minute long. Yeah, let's play it. I don't know if you'll hear it on your end, but I'm gonna play it right now.
I can't hear it. Go ahead.
This is Rem's edit featuring Moonlord. Let's do this.
Moonlord started talking about like watching porn and how like, so this is how it came up. I was straight up to all of them. I was like, you guys are all straight, right? Everyone here is straight. Straight, you're all straight. Straight men, straight cis boy. So do you have to all wake up and watch straight porn just to be able to indoctrinate yourself to stay straight? Do you do that every morning? Because I don't think you do, because I think you're straight, right? And so you can't be indoctrinated to become less straight. Like, you can't be gayified if you watch like hypnotic sissy porn or things like that. It's just not a real thing that can happen. It's not a phenomenon. And then Moonlord out of nowhere is like, I don't know, because like I was looking at porn this one time, and then like a pop-up came up for this like kind of like trans porn, and then I found myself watching, you know, like trans porn, and I was definitely kind of, you know, it had a weird effect on me, and like talking about that.
That was a good edit. That was very well done. And Moonlord has a band? Where'd you find that footage?
Renee was helping me with that. He thought that'd be pretty funny to put that on top of the audio and kind of interrupt the footage, because it kind of looked like he was like, oh, I wish I could have those two trans girls next to me as my backup dancers.
He was looking at you two very with interest and wonder. And power to him, if that's what he was doing. Power to him.
Sadly, that's kind of how people find out about trans people, is through porn. That is the sad part. I guess even me, because when I was younger, I just had no clue. But I've been cross-dressing since I was 6 years old. I kind of kept that pretty secret very well for a long time, and just never occurred to me. I just thought this was like a fun secret hobby of mine. And then I was very terrified of being open about it. But then, you know, things changed. I realized, like, wow, I'm defending trans people so much. I guess I am one. I've always defended gay people, especially back when I was a teenager. Everyone was calling everything gay. Man, that's gay. That's gay. And it was definitely not a funny thing. It was derogatory. And I just kept thinking, like, why are we all saying that anyway? Like, what's bad about being gay? So at first I thought people were just being funny.
I remember that was like the big that and the F slur. Those were the two big ones back in my day. And I hated it. I hated it. And I'm not gay or trans. And I just even from a young age, I was just like something.
Sure.
Right. Of course. But you know, even then at a young age, I was like, those hearing people use those words feels wrong. It feels like gross. And I just never got it. I never got why that became okay to do.
It's very telling when Moonlord was talking about how he stumbled across trans porn. Regardless if that's true or not, it doesn't really matter. It's just the fact that they all don't want to admit that there's some sort of attraction, or they're interested, and some of them probably don't really hate us all that much, but some of them are disgusted with themselves. It is definitely a self-hatred thing. It's a lot to unpack.
Right. That was an interesting part from Lance's debate with Tim Pool. You know, the question that they brought up is it gay to hook up with a trans woman? And it's like, it doesn't, like, I mean, you could fucking argue either or whatever you want, Mr. Pool, but it doesn't fucking matter. If you're attracted to a trans woman, you're attracted to a trans woman. If you're attracted to a trans man, you're attracted to a trans man. Who cares if you classify it as straight or gay? It's just a meaningless classification.
Because to these people, they want to be able to look at someone and know what genitalia they have. They don't like the idea of, like, oh shit, what genitalia do they have? Oh no, if I get with this person, then I'll be gay. They go through this weird internalized misunderstanding of sexuality and gender identity.
And the funniest thing is that, being that they can't determine that that's even a question, I mean, it absolutely proves the idea that they claim can't be, that gender is on a spectrum. Because you can be a straight person who meets a guy. You could be a straight man who meets a guy and is attracted to that one guy, but have been straight your whole life. It's everything is on a spectrum in terms of, like, I'm a straight guy. I have no interest in hooking up with men, but I've definitely seen guys who I'm like, that's a good looking guy, which shows that even my straightness, even though I have no interest in hooking up with him, my sexuality is even on a spectrum that I would even consider that person to be attractive. You know.
Right. You're just comfortable. You don't hate others because they're different. I'm not sure. It's like this weird indoctrination they all had in some way, or they all got red pilled with memes. Because that's what Elon is doing. He's definitely getting red pilled right now. He's definitely be getting into
He is
some dark white supremacist stuff right now.
he
It's
is
not looking good.
he is so far gone right now. It is that interview he just had today, May 16th, on
I
Jesus
haven't seen
on
that.
CNBC. He's lost it 100%. He's gone from not just posting this stuff online, and it still obviously was very telling and showed that he was losing it. But you would think, you could see that there are people who view their online life differently than them in the real world. The interview today, he's gone. There is no difference anymore. He went on national television on CNBC right after a Tesla annual meeting. So he's on there as Tesla CEO, and he's asked about his recent tweets. And he goes off about how the Texas shooter, there's no proof he's a white supremacist. It's all a psyop. He's saying this with his words live on national
Yikes.
television as Tesla CEO, as the official business television appearance as Tesla CEO. This dude is gone. Gone.
Yeah, a lot of people have been uh, asking this question: why are the right wing upset that the shooter is a Nazi? Shouldn't you be like whew, relieved that it's not like one of your own, or I don't know, like why is it that this person was being coerced or groomed by a Fed to become a Nazi to go shoot people, and then therefore I don't know, ban guns in Texas? No one really knows what the fuck
I
they're
mean,
really on about.
it's bizarre because it's not just someone saying it. There is numerous pieces of evidence that have been uncovered by multiple different parties, multiple different
For sure.
journalists and outlets, not even just one. I myself was able to pour through this social media profile. This dude was a straight up neo-Nazi.
He
He
felt free to
has
do it.
Yeah, he had tons of photos of his gear that match up with the dead body that was lying on the floor after
Hmm.
he got shot by I believe police. Um,
Hmm.
he
Shot
had
right in the head.
swastika tattoos, neo-Nazi tattoos, the SS tattoo. He
Right wing death
posted
squad
right wing death squad
patch
patch on his
on
vest.
his armor.
This is all known, and then even on top of that, even if you're looking for the confirmation, the police have come out and confirmed that he had neo-Nazi beliefs, he had neo-Nazi paraphernalia, and he had neo-Nazi tattoos. They
It's all
confirmed it.
planted, Matt. It's all planted. It's all fake. None of it's real. If you don't agree with reality, it's just not real.
Right.
But again, why are you guys offended by this? Why are you offended that it's a Nazi? Because they're convinced that all mass shooters are just like federal victims of feds feeding them white supremacist stuff or guiding them to this thing. People don't understand. Like I've hung out in very, very intensely disgusting fascist Nazi areas of Instagram. You'd be pretty grossed out. Like, how are they getting away with these posts? I've been harassed extensively for calling them out and fighting a bunch of Nazis, and a lot of them are teenage boys. And so I'm not really kind of like screaming at them or anything. I'm always trying to like ignore them, block them, or they desperately want to talk with me, especially when they find out that I'm trans. They have to like somehow tell me to go kill myself a million times. That doesn't work. So they try to like talk with me, and then I'm Just I just don't understand their thought process. But on 4chan or 8chan or any other site that's similar to these, where they feel free to say whatever the hell they want, they all talk about doing a mass shooting. They all congratulate each other. They all talk about previous mass shooters. If you were like in this sphere, in this world, or go undercover, or just look and just interact, you don't even have to interact with these people. You can just go undercover and just make a fake account, and you can see for yourself that. And even if there were feds around, how are you going to know? But again, everyone's giving feds too much fucking credit. They are human beings. They make mistakes. They're not perfectly watching every little thing. They do look at a lot of emails, I guess, through the NSA, because there's certain buzzwords that they'll try to collect. But again, you could say quite a bit online, and you're not going to get in trouble with the feds unless you're like Project Veritas guy, and you claim to have Joe Biden's granddaughter's diary or daughter's diary of some kind. I don't know what the hell happened to all that, or then you're gonna have the feds knock on your door, because the United States government's not going to allow the president's like anything bad that's going to be said about him. They're going to protect the president. That's just the point. That is the whole point. So they think they're like, oh, I caught him. You didn't really catch anything. And we don't even know if that diary is even real. It was probably a hoax. I'm not really sure, honestly.
They love to use the historical reality and try to twist it around as if it was going after them. Like historically, the feds would go after leftists. We know that. We know how they treated civil rights leaders. We know how they treated communists. The idea that there is some sort of American Gestapo out there going after right wingers in this country is fucking ludicrous.
There was a time when the FBI was going after a lot of white supremacist groups, especially during or after the Waco thing, and after the Oklahoma City bombing.
They always seem to miss. They always seem to miss. They always seem to miss the ones that actually go out and do the big terrorist attack, though. Interestingly.
Not necessarily, though. They always say that, oh yeah, we were monitoring this guy this whole time. They always say that, and that's
right. No. But they don't. Right.
That's why Tim Pool says that it's a psyop, because they later find out, or everyone later finds out, that the feds were watching them. But I don't think the feds were watching Garcia at all, honestly. It's hard because there's a lot of them that want to do a mass shooting. They all talk about it on there. They all joke about it. They want to kill trannies. They want to kill black people, or just anyone they don't like. It's always racial. It's always gendered. Specific targets. They all talk about it. Again, you can go undercover and you can figure it out for yourself. It's very disturbing. I would highly suggest people not to do that, because then your mental health will plummet. You'll go in dark places, and that's what they do. They stay in this dark place, and they stay in this weird dark bubble that they're somehow victims. And that's why young men of color join white supremacists, because they feel like they found a community. They feel that they've been red pilled and brainwashed or Nazi pilled. So who knows if this young kid was truly a Nazi, but it doesn't really matter. He was all about
absolutely. It doesn't matter. It looks like he was. It doesn't matter. But you're right. But he seemed really far. He seemed much deeper.
He saw an Asian. He saw an Asian family and decides to mow them all down. And again, I'd highly suggest people not to see those images. It's very disturbing. I didn't mean to see them. I did not mean to see them. Scrolling through Twitter, and of course someone posted them because you need to see this because it will change people's minds. No, you don't need to see little kids' brains splattered everywhere to change your mind. Like, oh yeah, guns are bad. But I understand that an AR can really rip you apart, but you can still survive from an AR. Case in point was Gage Groskowitz, who survived Kyle Rittenhouse's shooting his arm. he survived, and it's okay to carry around tourniquets. It's always a good idea to carry around tourniquets, because you'd be surprised on how quickly you'll die when you get shot in the arm or leg or the stomach. You got like at least 4 or 5 minutes. You have to stop that bleeding, and people just don't understand that.
Right. Rem, this was a fascinating conversation, from your personal experience at that Libertarian event to, us basically discussing what's been going on in our wonderful world, where our richest man believes that a neo-Nazi shooter wasn't a neo-Nazi. I really appreciate you. Yeah, it's coming on the show. Was there,
For sure,
is there
for
any,
sure. Thank you for having me on.
Is there anything you want to, you feel free, please, any social media handles, links to whatever, feel free to plug it all.
Yeah, a couple things, not very many. Renee and I are working on a lot of music, and I'm working on a music video. I have a short film I want to submit, but it might take some time. Mainly, I have a friend. I have a trans friend that's struggling right now. Her name's Roxy, and they're struggling with bills. They've been kind of laid off from their job in Oregon. I don't know why. That's what they tend to do to them, and they're very depressed, thinking they have no community. They feel like leftists have betrayed them. They are getting sick of white people. They've been kind of in a dark place, and I just really want them to feel like they matter, and I really want people to send them some love, and at the same time send them some survival funds on their Venmo, which is just Roxanne Suthers, Roxanne-Suthers.
All right, cool. Everyone, check that out. If there's anything else, feel free. I know you just mentioned. I know you have your own stuff too. You want to take time to mention other links and everything.
It'd be great if everyone could follow my YouTube at missheathen. I'm almost at 500 followers. It'd be really cool if I can get up there. Once we hit 1,000 or so, you get more privileges and stuff, or at least more attention. I've been slowly coming out with material. It's very difficult because I just do it all myself. I don't know. Other than that, everyone can just follow me everywhere. I'm Miss Heathen everywhere, Anti-Fascist General, or That Heathen. One of those three.
There we go.
You'll find me.
All right, Rem. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to talk with you. But it was even better to talk with you, as a guest on the main half of the show, and B, in this long form conversation. Usually, maybe we'll talk 20, maybe 30 minutes if we're lucky. Usually even less, I bet, because you never know what the call is.
Probably.
But we got to do a nice hour-long conversation. It was fantastic. Rem,
I'm glad you liked it.
Keep being awesome. Keep going to these events. You should, because you held your own. I mean, you might have found a calling in terms of
maybe
this space. So have a great night.
You too, man. Thank you.
Take care. Bye. All right, folks. The show is not over. Far from it, because we're going to go into the second half of the show. Oh my God, I have the Majority Report background right now. That's not the correct background. How'd that happen? We're going to go to the second half of the show. And we are going to take calls, read super chats, read Twitch chats. We're going to have a grand old time. You can call into the show on Skype, Doomed Live. Before we go there to the second half of the show, support this show at patreon.com/MattBinder. Your support helps me grow this show and put out more content. I've been putting out tons of content. I did 2 debates this past week. The usual stuff. Got a scam economy episode coming out later this week. Probably at the end of this week, early next week, actually. By the time you're listening to this on the podcast version of the show, it might probably already be out. What else? You can also go to youtube.com/MattBinder and subscribe to the channel. Go to twitch.tv/MattBinder and follow the Twitch channel there. Drop a super chat on YouTube. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, be sure to connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and you get a free Twitch Prime subscription every month. Give that bad boy to me if you'd like. What else? Follow me on Twitter @MattBinder, Blue Sky @MattBinder, Mastodon @MattBinder. Wherever you're on social media, search Matt Binder, you'll find me. Doomedcast.com for the podcast version of this show. Be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Scameconomy.com for the links to the podcast version of that show. Be sure to leave reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you are a Patreon subscriber or you're watching the live stream right now, even if you're not a Patreon subscriber, stick around. Don't go anywhere. You can watch the second half of the show. If you're and just give me a minute too. I just need to refill my drink and I'll be back. But if you are a freebie listener to the podcast, this is where I say to you, I will see you next time on Doomed.
Ecological collapse, corporate fascism, corporate journalism, police brutality, voter suppression, austerity economics, education masses, rampant homophobia,
What's up, Matt?
Hey,
You from Jamaica?
Dave from Jamaica. How are you doing, my friend? What are we going to talk about today? I don't think you are exactly what you claim you are. I would say you're a conservative. What makes you a liberal? I'm pro-Green New Deal. Are you? Yes, really? Absolutely. I have watched the show. I've seen you completely come out and get really mad at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for some of the things in the Green New Deal.
You mean like free college for black people?
All right, we are back on the show. Let me pull me up here. Hello, the phone lines are open. Doomed live on Skype. Something's going on with my headphones. Let me reset them. For some reason, they just cut off. Oh, we already got calls coming in. Give me 1 second. Let's see if this works now. All right, let me pick up the call. Hopefully this works. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Anne from the UK.
Hey, Anne from the UK. How are you doing? What would you like to talk about?
Well, first of all, I heard mention of you being attacked by Argentina, so I felt like I'd do the true British Falkland spirit thing and call in to defend you. No, anyway.
Uh-oh, you're gonna really piss them. You're really gonna piss them off now. Yeah, you're really gonna piss them off now. Yeah, that was something else yesterday. That dude is That dude has got something, some disconnect somewhere. I have no idea. But what would you to talk about other than that very funny reference?
I very much had that lined up, but you also told me to call in today because you wanted to show off the emotes again.
Oh, right, of course. Let's do that. All right, so the other day, it was Friday night after the Doug Lane debate I did. You called in to share some new emotes that you made, and they are truly fantastic. Let me see if I can find them. All right, so you made, and from the UK made this cool scratch WWE scratch logo for me that says MB. That's gonna be an emote. I gotta figure out how to do it, but I will.
Lance should know.
And then there's this awesome one, my favorite, hands down. This awesome emote of me holding up a World Heavyweight News Wrestling Championship. I love that. And then we also got, there's more, hold on. We got another one of me posing with my belt. Fantastic, I love it. And then you even made one for Ole that I have to give to her, where she's got like a Dragon Ball from Dragon Ball Z.
What's the idea?
That's, I mean, I guess I didn't have to say from Dragon Ball Z. You're right. No need to mock me. No.
Technically,
That's
you could
real.
say from Dragon Ball, but
That is very cool. Very cool. Thank you so much for those. And that's it. You don't want to talk about anything
no, I
else?
did have some other things to talk about. It was just you asked me to call in for that, so I thought I'd do that first.
All right, cool.
The
Cool.
other things I was going to say, particularly from analysing sort of anti-fascist stuff around the world at the moment, UK has recently had a national conservatism conference where people have been talking about things such as nationalism shouldn't be something we're ashamed of, kind of talking points, and saying that it's only German nationalism that's a problem was like the exact talking point that someone was trying to propose, as though like Italian fascism and various other things didn't exist. We also just generally in the UK have had like our Prime Minister go to Italy's like far right party and say we have very shared values with the party that has like a tribute to Mussolini as their party emblem. And also we've got annoying things happening, like us talking about putting asylum seekers in disused military camps, which is better than the prison boat option they're offering, I guess, just on the basis that there's actually some living conditions there. But I still think both of them sound very concentration campy and not very great. That we're proposing putting like asylum seekers on prison boats is just ridiculous to me. But yeah, UK has gone very fashy. We've also had things like really strict laws around protests being proposed for a while, some of which came up during the coronation, where some Republicans, as in people who want the UK to be a republic, not as in horrible American racist Republicans, got arrested even though they declared their protest before the events and still got arrested anyway. And the police just apologized afterwards rather than like, even though they were aware that they were like, they've been informed that this protest was going to happen, and like a load of other really annoying, just because like literally they started doing crackdowns on protests because Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil protests have been getting in the news a lot, and government thinks that that makes them look very bad, so they've been trying to prevent people doing quote unquote disruptive protests, which at one point some of the laws around that included being too loud, which is like, how can a protest not be noisy? That's protesting. And it's just, there's but I don't think that particular clause went through, but we still have very vague no disruption type things, like if you disrupt more than 2 people, potentially your protest can be shut down, which is like amazingly like bordering on ridiculous levels of restrictions around like the basic right to protest. But yeah, UK is not in a good place when it comes to individual freedom and various other things. Of course, we've also got like J.K. Rowling being turfy online, and John Cleese unfortunately continuing to be turfy online. It's
I
annoying
saw
because I used
that
to like
one.
John
Yeah.
Cleese.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't know what's. It's really. Is there something in the water that, like there? What's going? Like I don't. I mean, listen. We're not much better here, obviously, but it seems like, it's especially hard for, marginalized groups over there right now. Like I feel like there is a pretty strong, horrible anti-LGBTQ, anti-trans movement here, but just as strong as a pushback as well here. Whereas I don't know if
We do
there
have
is that
quite
strong of a pushback. They do?
we do have protests. They don't tend to make the news as much, and particularly the BBC came under fire a lot for being openly just doing really transphobic articles, and also during the time when Scotland was pushing through a law to make it easier for people to transition without having to go through a only legally, because people can transition anyway and they're protected by the Equalities Act 2010 or something, regardless of whether they actually medically transition or not. But they were trying to make it so they could like legally change their gender marker on records without having to go through about 1 billion medical hurdles in the same way, because pretty much even conservatives' own investigations into what they should do around that all found that same result and pushed for that result. But as soon as like Theresa May's government went out, they stopped mentioning that as much. And then when Boris Johnson's came in, they started talking about potentially not backtracking on even a promise to ban trans conversion therapy stuff. And then they started backtracking even more on that because both Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak, when they were trying to compete to get elected before Liz Truss became the shortest ever serving British Prime Minister,
Right.
who didn't even manage to outlive a lettuce, which is still my favourite British media story of the past year. But basically, they were both competing to out transphobe each other, and it was just ridiculous. And then we got Rishi Sunak anyway because Liz Truss went out and there wasn't really any other competition. And even our Labour Party at the moment has gone very transphobe as well. Keir Starmer's gone down that route, and recently a direct quote from Keir Starmer on a different topic is, "If that sounds conservative to you, I don't care," or something along those lines. I can find the exact wording, but it was.
I remember that hearing that as well, reading that. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, our options are Tory parties who are pretty far right at this point, Labour, who is the most right wing it's been in years, Lib Dems, who are always a bit of a wild card, whether they're going to be centrist, left wing, far left wing, or not, because they had previously just outright been in a joint government with Conservatives when I was younger, which happens to be like the point that like votership dipped dramatically because oddly enough people were just like, for a party that's meant to be left wing, you literally formed a coalition with the like right wing party. And also Liz Truss used to be a Lib Dem as well, which says something considering she's like was free market absolutist type person, and that's why the UK economy tanked even further than Brexit tanked it, which is just ridiculous. I can rant about UK stuff for a while, but yeah, what I was going to say very quickly about BBC is like the BBC, the guy who was in charge of it until extremely recently was literally friends with Boris Johnson and provided him a loan guarantee, even though like the BBC is meant to be an independent organisation from the UK government. And oddly enough, he got kicked out eventually after much months of the story of the fact that he helped guarantee a loan for Boris Johnson came into the public news. He eventually got kicked. But after months of for example, when Scotland started pushing for the rights change thing, the BBC were putting so many there's this trans prisoner type story in Scotland, to the point where there are more stories on the BBC about trans prisoners than there were trans prisoners in prison in Scotland. And it's just ridiculous levels of the BBC just being way more right-wing than even the Tories like to claim they are, because Tories always labelled the BBC as being overly lefty, and it's just recent years they definitely haven't been. Anyway, sorry for the rant and ramble. I get nervous, and I'm literally just saying whatever is coming to mind, because I wanted to say a load of this on previous calls and not got round to it. But anyway, sorry. Long rant about the UK.
This was because some of those things I'd heard about, some of the things I was not familiar with. I love when people call in outside of America and give me a little taste of what's happening where they are. So thank you, Anne from the UK, for that update from the UK. Appreciate it. Have a great. Wow, it's what time is it there? 4 a.m?
It is 3:37.
Oh, 3:37. Not so bad then. Nah. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye. Thanks again for the emotes. They're great. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh man. Hello.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Aiden, from Australia. I was going to do a little bit of a bit and pretend I was bad empanada, but
You should have. That would have been funny.
they
Hello?
caught me off guard. I
Yeah.
was surprised I got through.
Well, you're here now, Aiden. Welcome from Australia. It's what, 2 p.m. there?
It would be if I'm in Sydney. It's currently 12 o'clock here in South Australia, where I'm from.
Okay. So I was a little bit off, but not too off. Enjoy your lunch if you haven't had it already. I'm guessing maybe you're listening to me on your lunch break. What did they talk about?
I thought I'll give a little bit to talk about bad empanada. I was trying to call in yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know, this is the first time. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Okay. And were you? I'm sorry, you cut out for a second. This is your first time calling into this show. Got it. Okay. What would you like to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to call first to just mention something about bad empanada yesterday. Now, I'll be very quick about that because I got a couple of other things I'd like to mention. But here in Australia, we currently have this political situation where we're having a referendum to vote on whether we should have a constitutionally enshrined voice to Parliament for Indigenous people. And it's a little bit of a complicated situation, but I find that it's a pretty good example of a topic that you can ask like an Australian, and you can find out what kind of politics they have. So typically a left-wing person would, you'd imagine, say, yes, we should allow Indigenous people to have this voice to Parliament. But
Right.
someone like Bad Empanada would say no. And
he would say no?
sorry, well,
Has he got on the record saying that?
well, he said after your stream ended, and he was talking in his stream, I actually managed to ask him, and he responded. He said that he hasn't lived in Australia for 5 years, so he's not too involved in the politics. But this is such a massive conversation that I don't believe that would be true.
Okay.
But he ended up saying that he would vote no. And the reason why he would vote no against what is effectively I guess, a band-aid solution to a bit of imperialism, I suppose it's sort of that, very slow movement that these kinds of people talk about they don't like. But it's something, and it's constitutionally enshrined. So these people who try to say that they have a left-wing reason to vote against it, they'll say the Labor Party, they won't do anything with it, or they'll just get rid of it or something. It's a little bit, it's a bit silly. And I think complicated for people who aren't in Australia, I suppose. But it's like, one of those examples of the so-called anti-imperialists standing up and saying no against something that would actually, make sense for their worldview, right?
Right. So, wait. So I'm maybe because you were cutting out for me. What was his reasoning again for not supporting it? Because you got him to say no, right? So what was his reasoning again?
Yeah, I asked him, and he said, first he said, I don't know.
He doesn't
much about
follow, right? Okay, right. Which is I would because here I am still acting in good faith and giving someone the benefit of the doubt even after yesterday's ridiculousness. But I would say if he just ended it at that's completely legit. Maybe he really doesn't pay attention to Australian politics anymore. Sure, okay. But then you said he continued.
Yeah, that would make sense. I'm sorry that if I'm cutting out. I have bad reception.
All of a sudden, your reception just cleared up, right now. So maybe maybe something just happened. Go ahead.
Well, I've went outside, so that might be it. But
there we go.
He said he's not been in Australia for 5 years, so he's not paying attention. But like I said, this is like the biggest political conversation that we're having in the country right now. And anybody who's lived in Australia for over 20 years, I imagine he has, would probably be keeping tabs on it. But his reasoning against it was that it's incrementalism. That's effectively what a lot of these anti-imperialists here in Australia say. If there's anything that's not far enough, it's not good enough, and so we have to oppose it. Yeah, but the problem with this is because referendums here in Australia are so hard to pass. Like, you actually need to have over 50% of people in over 50% of the states voting yes to pass this. So it's like a really onerous and difficult thing to pass, that if it doesn't pass, if people like Bad and Panard, who think that they're left-wing and say no to this vote, then they are pushing Indigenous rights back literally decades.
Right. I mean, that's really perfect. Thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I don't know what else to say to that. I guess the real, the real issue is, obviously pointing out historical facts about Argentina, not giving rights to indigenous people in his home country. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, this is his home country. I think, at least I know he lived in Australia for a very long time. I'm surprised that he would say that he hasn't been talking about it. But,
he's got an Australian accent. I mean, if you got the accent, you were brought up there. I mean, I don't know how else you would have that accent if your formating, the years that formed you as a person, you didn't spend there. I mean,
specific accent as well. It's it's an accent that you get from, I think, living in the western suburbs of Sydney. So those are he's Australian. He's very Australian. So I'm surprised. But while I'm on the phone, I wanted to just mention another thing, because the last caller talking about how Labor sucks in the UK. And I just thought that I'll have a good little opportunity to say that Labor sucks in very similar ways here in Australia. But my God, Keir Starmer is he's a new breed of suck, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, I saw that thing he said that Anne from UK just brought up on the previous call. I saw it a couple of days ago when it happened, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? What's it's? I mean, Labor seems even. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, how to even. I don't even know. UK's got no even a left of center party anymore. It seems like that they're full on going conservative.
Yeah, at least here in Australia we have a Greens party that is gaining seats and really is sort of putting a bit of pressure on the Labor Party to be a bit more left wing. But I want to just quickly use two examples of why I think the Labor Party here in Australia is kind of sucking a little bit, even though in some ways they're pretty good. One, real quick, I suppose, is that here in Australia, obviously, in America, you guys talk about Australia, and you probably mentioned that we have free healthcare, and that has been dwindling, falling apart over the last 20 years. Now we've got a Labor government who are saying that they're trying to do what they can to fix it, and admittedly, it is pretty difficult, mostly because Australian healthcare has relied on migration, which slowed down a lot in COVID. But they're not really doing much of the small things that they can do. For example, there are a lot of GPs, general practitioners in Australia, that are losing bulk billing, which is like a Medicare payment. And so people are expected when they go to the doctors, if they're poor, 20 years ago, you just walk in, you get the appointment, you might have to wait for an hour, but then you just leave and you don't have to pay anything. Nowadays, people are expected to pay maybe upwards of $80. Sometimes they get a slight reimbursement, maybe all a full reimbursement, but people are expected to spend the money up front. And so a lot of these GPs aren't bulk billing anymore. And so someone like me, I'm a student. I've been unable to actually go to the GP because I can't afford it for like a year.
All right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to mention it because like I listen to Majority Report almost every day, and I'll admit, sometimes I skip the interviews, but I always watch Thursday episodes.
Oh, well,
But,
thank you. I appreciate that.
Every once in a while, I hear, Australia, like Americans talking about Australia, like we have a really great healthcare system, and I remember a few weeks ago, a Majority Report call, somebody said that they get their wounds dressed every 3 weeks. Every 3 times a week, and it doesn't cost them anything. And that's true. There are really some things in our Medicare system that are still great, but it is falling apart. And I think that the problem that we have with the Labor Party in Australia right now is that a lot of these things are falling apart. People can see these institutions, these concepts that we've had that have like dictated how people live in this country for like 30, 40, 50 years. And we see that they're falling apart, they're not working anymore. But this Labor government that we voted in, hoping they would be creative, haven't really done anything other than maybe shift a few dials, pull a few levers,
Right. Yeah, I feel like that's the case everywhere, unfortunately, what we're seeing in recent. I mean, unfortunately, I don't know that too much. I don't follow Australian politics that much, so I'm really happy to hear you call in and give me, tell me what's going on. Like I said to Anne before, the UK, although I am a little bit more familiar with what's going on in the UK. It's last I heard in Australia, and this is years ago, so I could be completely off. You guys had a fairly conservative prime minister, right? And the leading party was fairly conservative, right?
Yeah. Well, this is the weirdest thing because I would argue, and I study social work, so I've done a little bit of political history in uni, and I would argue that the last leader that we had, which was Scott Morrison, probably the most. Can I swear?
Yeah, please.
Probably the most fucking corrupt cunt that we've ever had in politics. In this
I forgot that you guys can say that down there. Go ahead.
Is that one banned on Doomed?
What?
Is that C word banned on Doomed?
Oh no, you can say that C word on Doomed as an Australian. I can't say that word as an American because it means something very different in America. You can't. That's like a word you don't say here in America. But in Australia, it's fair game.
I'm trying to wrap it up here because I don't want to spend too much time talking about this Australia with your viewers because, to be honest, Australia is quite a small country when you think about it, and we're sort of in the middle of nowhere, so we don't have that much influence over you guys. That's not too important. But yeah, Scott Morrison, probably one of the most corrupt people in this entire country. Just before, just a few months after he lost the election in what was pretty much a landslide. It came out that he had put himself as the minister secretly for like 7 different ministries, which is not illegal or against any rules, but no one has ever done that before. And it's just a really unusual situation. This guy was very weird, very corrupt, just a bad dude. And I think that him losing the election was such a big moment in Australian politics. But the Labor Party have not had the sort of creativity that you'd expect after just completely destroying one of the most corrupt parties this country's ever seen. They just sort of just went back to normal, which really sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of what happens here. Like we had Democrats saying how we need hopefully this is proof that we get a strong conservative Republican Party back, and now that Trump lost, instead of just being like, holy shit, this is like free reign for us now. We just defeated the most right-wing government, and that's basically the people saying, we're giving you this referendum here,
well, I guess
and
it's
they
pretty
don't take
similar
advantage of
here.
it.
And
So,
like I said, I will end it. Just
I
last
totally
point before
understand
I do go.
how you must
or
feel,
2
because
points I'll say,
it's
because I think
happened
there's
here.
one thing that's pretty interesting for you guys in America. But firstly, I was going to say something about right. You in America, you guys or the Democrats will say we want a stronger right wing. See, that's nonsense. But here in Australia, they don't say that because the Labor Party is in the middle, because we have the Greens on the left. So the Labor Party actually want those right-wing people to come over to them. And they're always appealing to the swing voters between the Labor and the Liberal Party. So they leave a lot of the left-wing people in the dust and waiting and hoping for better. But because I think this is a really good example of like the kind of situation we're in Australia. And this is, I promise, the last thing I'll mention, and then I'll let myself go. In America, you guys are talking, at least some Democrats, I suppose, are talking about student debt relief, right?
Right. Yes. I mean, we're going to see what happens. The Supreme Court's going to end up making that decision, and who knows how that's going to go. Probably not good, but yeah.
Yeah, I will admit it doesn't look good, but there is at least some sort of political will in the left of center party that you guys have in dealing with that situation. And I will admit that obviously American student debt is significantly worse than it is here in Australia. It balloons a lot faster and interest rates grow a lot faster. I think you pay more for your education as well. But here in Australia, we have a debt system which is tied to inflation. And so this year we had an inflation raise on our student debt by 7%. And we had our treasurer telling us that that's normal and that's as to be expected, as if basically he went onto a show we call Q&A, and he had an interview, which something you guys in America should do is have your politicians sit down for an hour and a half every few weeks and talk to a state politician, a state journalist, I think. But he sat down and spoke about how apparently there's this media push to make it seem like Labor intentionally increased our debt, our student debt. But no one believes that. Everybody knows for a fact that the student debt only increased because of inflation, because it's tied to inflation. We already know that. We know that it wasn't a decision. What we expect is an admission that a 7% increase on student debt in a year that we need more students in very specific fields. You would think that the treasurer would say, well, maybe this is a little bit too much, but he just says that it's working as intended. And as a social work student, I find it a little bit concerning that we have like this sort of capitalistic sort of view of how university works, because you have people who go to uni to study marketing specifically to make more money. And then you have people like me who go to uni for social work who want to do things like help people. And I acknowledge that my job as a social worker is going to be really difficult. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do 5 days per week like they would expect. So me being able to pay my HECS debt off is going to be way different to the ability of like a marketing or a business or a law graduate having the ability to pay theirs off. Right. And so I don't really like the way that that's compared. But I think I'll leave it there, Matt.
No, thank you for the call. This was very interesting. I really appreciate it. From the opening with your sharing your question with the guy yesterday, and then your education, teaching me about what's going on over there in Australia. I appreciate it. Have a great night.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And last thing, rest in peace, Michael Brooks. Cheers,
Thank
man.
you. Yep, absolutely. Have a great night. All right, let's go back to the phones. I'll take a few more calls. Let's see. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey Matt, it's Josh from California. How you doing?
Hey, Josh from California. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I wanted to bring up a couple of things. Doug Lane is like gone down a rabbit hole that I don't know he's ever gonna get out of. I know I think he was trying to engage in good faith, but when you start making links between shadowy organizations and like general government grants for research and shit, you're gone.
Right. I'll be honest, after yesterday, the Doug Lane one looked like a wonderful Dream.
Yeah, I was real impressed with how you handled him just like yelling over you for the last 20 minutes of the interview and then saying, "Oh, gotta go." Because that there were a couple of times where there were a couple of points he made where I think I would have just told him to shut the fuck up, like because he clearly was not listening to you at that point, and it was just like, okay, whatever, dude, like shut up, I don't care. Um, Bad Empanada's crazy also. When people think of normies that I know, when they think of Nazis from South America, they think of Brazil for a number of reasons. One, the boys from Brazil, where with the Hitler clones. Also Krieger from Archer, who is a clone of Hitler. You know, there's like honestly, and anytime someone brings up Nazis, it's like, yeah, sure, whatever. There's Nazis all over the fucking place. Acknowledge it and move on. Like,
Right.
it
I mean,
sucks.
if anything, the idea, like, I was super willing, and I understand the talk, the concern of, the idea that this was, back in what was it, the 50s, I think, these true facts were used by the U.S. and as part of propaganda against Argentina, and that's also fact. But there are many countries that have had propaganda, that have the U.S. propagandized against them.
Yeah, especially
And in South America especially, and I you just do not see this from any of those other countries. Like the fact that it all comes from one country, I think, if anything, is a message that there is cause for some real concern, that there is either blind spots there, or if not blind spots, a very loud subsection of people who outright purposefully deny it and use this as a way to deny it, which makes me think that they are actually fascists.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's one or
yeah.
the other. Either there's a real education issue, or there's a small yet very loud, online at least, group of people who are fascists and are trying to rewrite history.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and that's, again, common throughout the world, and most of them are probably Nazis, or fascists of some stripe. It was, yeah, very interesting to see. Like, I mean, and again, like you said, there have been all kinds of U.S. generated
There's I mean, that's the thing.
propaganda against.
He really thought I was going to show up as Mr. America. He totally thought trust me, the United States way worse than Argentina on all these white supremacists, Nazis, neo-Nazis, death count. You want to go through the list? I'm happy to, because the U.S. is number one in all of them. But I will refuse to accept the idea that you cannot talk about. And he also is rewriting history too. His bullshit. We didn't even get a chance to really get into it, but his 180 number is fucking ridiculous.
And his Holodomor denial.
And then when I said to him, what about that list of 12,000 people in Argentina who are part of the Nazi Party? And he went, that's from before the end of World War II. Oh, apparently that doesn't count.
That makes it better.
Right, yes.
Yeah, no, and I mean, there's I can't remember the guy's name, but there was a, like, compound of one of these high-ranking Nazi officials that fled, and he was basically, they got him, they found it in, like, the 70s. I can't remember, there was a Behind the Bastards episode on it, but on this guy. But basically, they found it in the 70s, and they were breeding, like, Aryan babies. That in Argentina, that was like the whole thing. It was, and again, that shit is all over everywhere, because nobody really, they got some of them, and Mossad got some of them and whatever, but like,
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird to deny any of it. That's my issue. Like, this isn't a competition. If there was a competition, the U.S. wins. But I'm not
Yeah,
talking
they
about a
always win.
But I'm not talking about a competition.
you
I'm
want
talking
to,
like literally, he cannot discuss it. He can't discuss it. It'd be doing an imperialism. Apparently, the FBI and CIA are depending on me to convince my few thousand followers that Argentina is a Nazi haven. Before doing another imperialism in Argentina, I mean, it's
and what are we gonna do? Like, go in and like take over their horribly inflated currency? Like,
right.
I think they're at 97% inflation
Right.
for the year, something ridiculous
But
like that.
it is brave of him to defend the whitest nation in South America. I appreciate
Well,
his standing up for the white people in South America.
yeah, and I mean, I do think there's and I only know this because, and I'm sure it's not everyone by any means, but like, I only know what I know of it because, for years my mom worked with helping with early Head Start, helping, and most of their families were immigrants from South America, and there's a very strict like national hierarchy of who is considered the whitest and therefore the best in South America, and like there's the Colombians and the Argentinians look down on X, and then like Mexicans are essentially at the bottom, viewed as being at the bottom of this weird hierarchy that they've set up, which is the same shit like in Europe, right? Like where, and it's not necessarily whiteness there, it's whatever historical grandeur there was or whatever, where Eastern Europeans are looked down on by Western Europeans and by in the UK and so on and so forth. Like whoever did the most imperialism is at the top of the hierarchy, basically.
Right.
So, I mean, and it's everywhere, and it's just, everybody should own up to it and say, okay, yeah, what do we do about it? Like,
Right. That's all. I mean, it seems very simple, but apparently it's not. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
yeah, really quick, because it's from my state. What is the walking corpse of Diane, or rolling corpse of Diane Feinstein? Um,
Oh, that
it's
was oof.
it's just horrifying.
That stuff from coming out from today, that interview where apparently
She
she
didn't know
doesn't.
she could vote. Actually, I bet you they gave her a clicker. She thought she was voting. She had a TV remote and she thought she was voting.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
But I do think, and I get the arguments against it, but we wouldn't have had Bernie's second campaign or whatever. But I think there's a retirement age for all other government positions. I think there needs to be a retirement age, and it can be 68 or 70 or whatever the rest of it, whatever, you're a general and you got to go at 68 years old because you're not supposed to be making those, like you're just, on average, you're not mentally firm enough to make those decisions anymore. I think it's time, especially since there's a minimum age. Like if you're not, you have to be a senator and to be a president and to be in like there are minimum ages for all of that kind of stuff. There should be a maximum age, and especially these fucks are. I mean, these people are out of touch. How are we supposed to expect them to handle AI? My dad, who's 10 years younger than her, still like pokes at his phone with one finger and then gets angry at it and tells me to come help him. Like he does not understand how Google makes money. And you can tell him they're an ad company, and he's like, yeah, but Madison Avenue never made this kind of money. And he's right. But it's also the fact that they have both ends. They have, the advertising channels, access to the advertising channels, and they have all the demographic information. And so that's infinitely more valuable to companies than just putting together advertising campaigns.
Right.
If they don't intuitively understand the things that are new to their generation, and they don't, and again, there are some people who are intellectually curious about it and want to learn about the issues and can learn and whatever, but it's just it's really dangerous to have these people regulating things, or not, in most cases not regulating, because you need to get out ahead of AI with regulation, because otherwise someone's going to do something really fucked up with it. And I mean, and it'll be legal is the thing. Like, it'll be, oh, we didn't know we couldn't do that, or no one said we couldn't do that, so we accidentally scraped, like, or on purpose scraped all of everyone's information and then sold it to someone who uses it to go on a killing spree or something like that. That kind of stuff is just needs regulation, the same as privacy needs regulation. We still have not had that conversation in the United States about data, like you owning your personal data and your behavior online and all of that kind of stuff. And there needs to be regulation around that. And that's 20 years too late already. But you can go and backfill some of it at least.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to bring up.
All right. Well,
I know you always sigh at the end of my call.
no, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, yeah, there was that interesting AI hearing in Congress today, and maybe I'll talk about it a little bit more in a little bit.
Okay.
Let me take some more calls.
All right. Have a great one.
All right. Cool. Peace.
Bye.
Let's take one or two more calls. I got a bunch of super chats to read from yesterday. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello? Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Cool. Oh, sorry. Let me turn down this thingy. I don't think I've used it on this machine in a while. This is Rachel, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to turn off the sound on.
Well, I don't hear it. So if it's fine, I don't hear the sound on. I just hear you.
Okay, I'll just have to make sure I have it off on mine. Okay, here we go.
Cool.
Yeah, this is Rachel Atwood. I'm back in Western Mass for now, but formerly of Ukraine. So, wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. How you doing, Rachel?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm all right. So I don't know that showdown last night was something else. I don't know. That guy gets help. But
yeah, I mean, yeah, I one thing, you said, I know you're you from Ukraine, or live there.
Yeah.
And a telling moment was when he realized why I was bringing up Ukraine, and he tried to stop me and say, "Why are you changing this topic?" And he wouldn't let me continue it at first. But that's the point to make. I mean, it's exactly what people like him do. They bring up Ukrainian Nazis, which is fine. Which is absolutely fine. It's legit. I'm sure you would agree too. As a you are Ukrainian, right?
No, I'm born and raised in the U.S.
Okay.
But yeah, I lived there for the last 6 years or so before, until this fall.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I could say for his part, he's a shithead, but I would not classify him as tanky as such. In that he has had lots of choice words for gray zone folks and anyone else making excuses for other regimes. I don't know why he has this sticking point on Argentina. I don't know what he's trying to make for himself. But yeah, I mean, also I could see on, Lord knows, social media, far more than in actual life, people having this discourse about Ukrainian Nazis everywhere, and or nationalists saying, no, this is our culture. And I was even saying, I think I'd sent in a little super chat about maybe if you'd be interested in talking to someone who's sort of got some kind of authority on setting the record straight about. And also I can say that that it's really the pinpointing of Ukrainian, the whole neo-Nazi movement as something distinct from other parts of, I don't know, European white nationalism, or the, nebula of white nationalism that is broadcast out of Russia. I feel like there's so many people do one whataboutism or another, but just kind of looking at it with a clear head, I don't know if that'd be something you'd be open to speaking with. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, just because I feel like it's sort of it's a blank canvas for a lot of people that there's something they just strictly put their own screeds onto one way or another, and it's just sort of something we could, actually have a reasonable conversation about. So I could see if there's a few people I could ask and see if they're up for it. So
Sure.
So yeah, I guess that's basically all of what I'm getting at here.
All right, great.
Yeah, I'm in the States, but I still work for the NGO, well, volunteer for it, then keeping up on their news brief every day. So yeah, I follow every last moment. And also quick shout out for, cross-streaming solidarity. Francesca Fiorentini had Bill Fletcher Jr. on today, and I could say among leftist academics and public speakers, thinkers, etc., he's really got a truly unique perspective and really just gets this this issue and understanding international solidarity outside of campism really, really well. And I would recommend anybody to check out his work and how he's done to elevate Ukrainian solidarity action within the U.S. and as the big voice for amplifying it and working with other movements in other countries. So
right.
I would recommend that for everybody.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, yeah, well, check that out. Send those people my way. Okay. And yeah, have a great night.
All right, thanks. You too.
Bye.
Right, take care.
You too. Oh, I see that Ravana rated me over on Twitch. Hello, she rated me about 20 minutes ago. I didn't even notice it. Sorry, Ravana. How many more calls could I take? It's getting. I got a bunch of super chats to read. All right, one more call, maybe two. Let's see how long this goes. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, what happened there? I lost you. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it is Kowalski from Nebraska, and is this Discount Sam Cedar on the line?
This is $5 5-finger discount Sam Cedar.
Yeah, that was quite the convo you had. I was very surprised to see you actually debate that guy. I thought he had burned enough bridges to where pretty much nobody really wanted to talk with him anymore.
I honestly was not really all that familiar with him, to be quite frank. I knew of him.
Maybe I'm the one that's living online too much.
I was familiar with him vaguely, because I heard about there's this guy that covers Latin American politics, and does decent videos. This is years ago though, and I haven't heard of him since. In fact, I have heard some chatter about him getting into fights with people, but I didn't realize it was like that. Me, I'm always down to talk to anybody. But that guy, I don't think I would do that again, unless I can't believe I'm still giving it the benefit of the doubt and saying there would be a scenario. But I never say never. Let's put it that way. But that was
actually, I was going to say, I think I know something really funny you guys could do and with him. So hear me out on this one.
All right.
I've noticed that basically Bad Empeñada I refuse to say it properly. He's a kind of a clout chaser because he always wants to go on a bunch of like larger streamers' streams. So
he's
I
100%
think
a cloud
we
chaser.
convince- Yeah. So we need to convince Sam to invite him on to the Majority Report, and then Sam's gonna duck out, and it's just gonna be you.
Yeah, I don't really think we should even get Sam involved because this dude obviously wants to talk with Sam so bad. It would just be funny that he never can.
Yeah, that would be funny because
Right, yeah,
Sam would
that's true,
invite him
right.
on, and it would just be you again, the man, the myth, the legend, just always there to strike him down. But the one of the only other things I wanted to say was, it might be petty or whatever for your audience, but I really do think what he says with Bo of the Fifth Column is bad. Like I know you said you're not really that familiar with him, but the guy makes a lot of good material, especially for like rural folks and like I like to call them the hill people. And it's he makes pretty good content, and it's one of those like little niches that I think the guy fills really well on, like just bringing more people into like this type of political mindset. And what he did there was actually really like bad, and like that's when I really just didn't like Bad and Pinata. He does some good work, don't get me wrong, but like that was a really like bad thing that he did there, because the guy had a interesting history, and if you don't understand the details, it could look really bad. But
Right, I'm not
yeah,
familiar, so I can't even. Right, I can't even. I've never even. I'm not even that familiar with him either. Like I said, I don't pay attention to this world. Perhaps that's my issue, and why I'm not a bigger streamer. Perhaps because maybe I need to get involved in these scraps. But I don't have any interest in doing it.
well, I don't think Bo's interested in any scraps, but like he has a history of doing like some real on the ground work, and if you didn't really understand what he was doing, it could be misconstrued, which is what Bad and Panada had did, and it was just a bad thing that he did. Like just I'm not gonna rehash the whole thing, but like people should be very like understanding that like some of the comments you can make can just cause damage and no real harm, even if you are kind of telling the truth. But yeah, just so your audience is aware, if you have relatives that are like rural folks or whatever, Bo's not a bad source to use with that. He would be able to speak to them on that level. That's why he's a good resource. That's why people shouldn't be like going after him. But we all here love the Doomed because it's doomed, and we love our discount Sam Cedar. That was a very petty joke of his. Like
all right, Kowalski. Thanks for the call as always. How's the farm doing?
I got done planting our own personal crops, and I've got 300 acres left to go, and then I don't think I get a break, but it's always nice to be done with planting. So
all right. Well, keep me updated on how the farm's going. Have a great night.
You too. Good night.
Peace. I'll have to look into the Bo stuff because I have not. I'll take one more call. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Rob from Indiana.
Hey, Rob. What would you like to talk about?
Well, this is quiet for some reason.
Do you hear me?
I just don't hear you too loudly.
That's weird. I don't see anything on my end.
Oh, I got it.
All right, cool. Hey, so Rob, what was it to talk about?
So, first I want to say, fuck Ben Empanada. You're a handsome son of a bitch.
Oh, why, thank you. I appreciate that.
I wanted to actually know if you heard. I hadn't followed any news or anything today until just like right before the end of the night, and I just heard about the New Mexico shooter. I just wanted to know if you had any information about that.
About what? Say that again.
the shooter in New Mexico.
Yeah, what about him? Oh wait, you're talking about the New Mexico. When was this one?
I thought this was today. I don't know. I just
Oh no,
heard about it.
I honestly have not heard of this one yet. Jeez, I'm sorry. I do not, because I didn't even know about it. Shit. I mean, really sign of the times, right? Christ, I'm looking it up now.
Yeah. The only thing that I heard was he was kind of just walking through a parking lot and randomly shooting, but they had there wasn't any information on his background or anything.
I'm looking. Gunman fired indiscriminately at vehicles and houses as he roamed the neighborhood. His name's Bo. 18-year-old Bo Wilson.
Okay.
I have not. I'm gonna look into this. In fact, I'm gonna look into this after the show ends. It's gonna be hard to really dive deep while we're doing an episode. I'm looking for photos of him. All right, I found his photo. All right.
Yeah, everything that you're saying is what I'd heard. Like I said, I didn't watch any news today. I've had a busy, so I mean, it's just typically a lot of right wing, Nazi neo-fascists.
I am interested to see if that's what his background is. Obviously, no surprise if it is, but I gotta.
Yeah. Well, we had a couple here in Indiana that were definitely, fascist, neo-fascist. There was another thing I was going to bring up too.
A teenager who knew the suspect said that they tried to alert people. Wait, no, I'm sorry. He alerted a friend.
Okay.
Or no. I'm misreading this. A teen tried to alert the friend. Oh, this is fucked up. So a Farmington teen tried to alert his friend about a shooting on their block. Then he realized his friend was the shooter. Christ, that's
oh man.
Yeah. Man. I knew he was going to do something bad, but I didn't think it was going to be something like that. Oof.
Yeah. See, there was a similar incident here. I want to say it was in Plainfield, Indiana. I could be wrong, but it was at a FedEx building, and the kid's mother knew that he was into fascism, fascist Nazi stuff, and she had warned the authorities, but they just got there too late, basically.
Right.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions. Like I said, I haven't heard anything about this guy's background or anything. I was just curious if you heard anything about it.
No, I didn't until you brought it up. He seems like the friend said that, he was once at a sleepover with him, and he woke up to see him talking to nobody. And he asked him what was going on, and he said, like, the voices are getting to me or something like that. So I think we have a clear issue. This person should not have had access to a weapon, period.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was a thing, too. They did announce that it was a legally bought firearm.
Right.
All
right. Yeah, this is these all get more. It's all so depressing. It's depressing.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for the call, though. Appreciate it as always. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up?
Oh, the only other thing I wanted to mention was the debate was good last night. I did actually learn quite a bit, because I didn't actually think about and realize. I learned a lot about how the difference between how the Soviet Union versus America or the U.S. handled Nazis, but I didn't think about them fleeing to South America and stuff. I just didn't even think about it.
Oh, you mean you
So I
didn't hear
learned a lot.
you
It was
didn't
kind of cool.
you didn't hear about the very popular trope that it's all the rage here in modern day United States culture that everyone can't stop talking about Nazis in Argentina. Like, yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
Absolutely ridiculous. No doubt.
I never saw Evita either. So
Oh, you should really. Oh boy, you're missing out. Did you ever see X-Men First Class? That's the real kicker. That's where.
right, I did.
All right. Yeah. All right. Have a great night. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, take it easy.
Peace. I'll take one more. Let's do this. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Josh. I'm from New Jersey.
Hey, Josh. What would you like to talk about?
Yeah, so I basically wanted to talk about Bad Empanada yet again. I think the reason he seemed to be so focused on the Argentina thing is because I think he actually moved to Argentina and he lives there currently. I think.
No, yeah, he does. Yeah, he's lived there for he's Australian. He's a Greek Australian, who moved to Argentina and is like his whole identity is being Argentinian, being in Argentina, being in Argentina. I mean, listen, I think that's a little bit weird. But who am I to judge? I'm nothing but I'm a silly American.
Yeah. We're all just silly Americans. But if I moved to I don't know, Italy, I wouldn't be like, I take great offense to that. That's an Italian stereotype. I wouldn't consider myself, Italian, in 5 years or whatever, and be like, that's an Italian stereotype. You know what I mean?
It's funny because just a week earlier, I was having a conversation with a caller or something, and it turned into a conversation about how I don't get pride at all in where you live or where you're from when it comes to an entire national identity. I could get maybe I like my small town or something like that, but that doesn't usually become your entire identity. I'm a New Yorker, but that's not the entirety of what I am. In the same way that American patriots make them their whole identity is America, and clearly this is his, or at least those people who were all up with their 3 stars, their 3-star emojis in their profiles and everything. I don't get it. I can't imagine tying up your entire identity so that when someone talks about a country, you feel personally offended. It's bizarre behavior. I'm sorry.
He took up the gauntlet. He was like Rambo. He's like, I gotta defend Argentina now.
Right. Right.
But there was one other thing I think is going on is when people usually call people a clout chaser, it usually sounds like it's kind of dismissive, and I usually feel like people just say that to say that, but I really think that's apt in his case. It's he basically just completely fell off. He's just jealous of any leftist that's becoming relevant while he becomes less and less so. And so he's defensive while gaining clout.
It seems like he did it himself, from my understanding. I looked him up.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly didn't really look him up before that because I didn't really think anything of what this conversation was.
I don't really know much about him.
But when I just Googled his name, all that comes up now is all the fucking different people he's everyone from Keffels to this guy Lonerbox to Vosh. But I mean, even putting Vosh aside, because there's tons of people who have problem with Vosh, but these random small to medium-sized leftists who no one I've ever seen have any problem with these people. And he's the guy who's not only has a problem with them, but took it so far that they refuse to even associate with him. He's harassed people.
Yeah, it's nuclear.
I mean, I can't imagine.
almost,
I can't imagine doing. I think that it's a sickness. It's a sickness. You have something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a
I
sickness.
get the vibe that is almost also like, like a J.K. Rowling thing, or like a Dave Chappelle thing, in the sense that like he might have made like a few like shitty comments, and like when people like confronted him about it, it just made him dig in so much deeper and just become like deranged.
Yeah, I mean, some people just go nuts. That's all I know. I mean, it seems like he's got his little fan base with the everything is imperialism crowd, except Russia doing imperialism. That's not imperialism.
He's got like the dumb left vibes.
Yes, that's exactly it. And
yeah,
I guess what makes him different is there's not that many dumb leftists who know South American politics, because they're usually very uneducated on everything. So he's a dumb leftist who has a specialty in a certain area, I guess.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised he wasn't on Jimmy Dore's show.
Yeah, maybe it'll happen. Who knows?
Anyway,
that was it. All right, cool.
Big
Yeah.
fan.
No, thank you. I appreciate
Oh no,
it.
I mean, if you wanted to say something, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't even know what to say about yesterday anymore, honestly. I just can't
I think you did really well given what you got. Like, the second he mentioned like, viewer count and shit right at the top, like right at the jump, that's how you want to start off with shit about like viewer count, and like, no, I'm not gonna correct because you're nobody. It's like, yeah, fuck you, you're a cunt, Like, I would have just like hung up then, but man, you really kept your cool like the whole fucking time. You didn't even curse.
Someone sent me. He's like one of those people who obsessively comment in his own YouTube video comments, which is really bizarre behavior. He's obsessed apparently with making sure his video gets more views than mine. Based on these screenshots people have sent me. Another screenshot, one of his comments is how he's not a clout chaser because he didn't even put my name in the YouTube title, but he put Sam Cedar's name in the YouTube title because he knows it'll get more views putting Sam Cedar, and Sam Cedar has nothing to do with the video, which is the ultimate sad cloud chasing behavior. Like, I honestly think he's really stupid. Like, I think he's like just purely like an idiot. Like, it's just that simple. Like, to say you're not a cloud chaser when you're putting a larger YouTuber in your title who has nothing to do with your YouTube.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're just an idiot. You're just an idiot to argue you're not a cloud chaser. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
I think he knows he is.
Right.
Right. But he just likes to say that for like, whoever his like the people that like him.
Wait, FTW says my man is juicing it in Discord. Is he? What's going on in Discord? He's real, like, seriously, I got someone sent me multiple comments of him fighting with people in his comments about how his video will end up receiving more, like, he's obsessed with it. My video will end up getting more views than his. You'll see. Just watch. Keep watching.
So he privated it though, right? Did he bring it back out of privated?
He cut it up and re-uploaded it.
Of course he fucking.
Right.
Oh man, you called it, dude.
I don't cut my shit up. My what you see live, you'll never see me take it down and re-upload. Maybe I'll cut a section from it to upload as its own separate thing, but I would never take down the original entire full stream. People can always watch my full streams. I will, I've no reason to do that. It's the ultimate like baby behavior, honestly, removing one of your live streams.
Yeah, it is. And it was like, I know that he doesn't live in Australia, but like it was also weird to me. It's like doesn't give a shit about Australian politics, I guess. But like, do you still have like family or friends in Australia? And you're like, you want to know like, how are things doing for them over there?
I would love to know why he moved to Argentina. Honestly, like, if it's for family, a girlfriend or wife or a job or anything like that. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like it. I maybe I'm wrong. And then, that's why I'm not making any sort of I'm not saying, "Oh, he moved there for this reason." I don't know. I would love to know. Because I do think it's really weird when a white American or a white Australian or a white English person moves to a South American country or a Southeast Asian country, because usually we, unless it's for a job or family or a significant other, usually, it's not for a good reason. But I'm not saying that for him, because I don't know.
You never know.
I don't know.
And then, like, didn't he also say, like, at the very end of this, like, the stream, he was, like, talking to his chat about how stupid streaming is, and, like, you shouldn't watch people who stream. It's like, even though you're fucking streaming right now.
Right. Yeah. He's a weirdo. He's a weirdo.
Yeah.
I'm not putting anything out there. I'm just, I'd be interested to know. Maybe he just likes the country. That's a good reason too. Maybe he visited there and he likes it. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. But
have a great night.
Thanks, man. Love your work. Love this mafia.
Yep. Take care. Yeah, he could be someone brought up he could be a nomad, like one of those nomads. That's fine. He could be many reasons. I'm just interested in knowing why. That's all.
He vacationed there in his youth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he like threw a dart at a globe.
Right. Maybe he's just looking for a cheap place to live. And is Argentina known for? Because I know that's why people move to like, some people move to, move their family to like, Thailand or Vietnam.
Yeah, that's true. I had a friend whose cousin did that.
Right.
But
all right.
Yeah, I don't know. The empanada sat out too long. It went bad.
Yeah. Have a great night.
All right. That's all right. See you.
All right. Peace. Let's go. I'll take one more call because I see this person trying to call in for a while. I don't know who this is. Let's take this call. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Matt. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's John from Peoria.
Hey, John from Peoria. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know if it's the latency or what, but I called before. Things have changed a little in my life. I'm now talking on a government phone, so it's the latency is pretty bad on it. But I did want Bad Empanada, his in that debate.
Right.
So, like you, I had kind of forgotten a lot about him since. I mean, I think he made some decent documentaries back in the day, and they were okay, but they weren't really anything that you couldn't find out if you would read. He had a documentary about how bad Christopher Columbus was, and I kind of learned that. I'm an old guy. I learned that stuff like in the 70s from my father, who was Cuban. But I obviously I think he was doing a service to a lot of Americans who aren't exposed to that. But like you, I had written about him, and while I am sick and and unemployed, I decided to try to do some productive stuff and perhaps not so productive things. So I don't as much, participate as much on the internet as I used to, and on social media. But I did see he was reviewing, for some reason it came on my feed on YouTube that he this guy, and this guy was kind of roasting Empanada, but it was like a bit of a troll. He wasn't nasty, but it was just kind of poking at Bad Empanada and the hypocrisy of him. And as I say, I didn't know a lot about what he was doing, but the guy was during the this video that Empanada was reviewing. He made the statement about how about Latinos, and he was using the word Latinos in the sense that we use it here in America because he's an American. And Empanada just went off on him on the reaction, talking about, I guess, to school this guy as to what, how Latinos, he says, Americans are weird, and Americans are weird. The Latinos in America are weird, and how, they use Latinos the wrong way. I mean, which is, that's pretty rich coming from a guy in America. So, and I think, like that with you, he, tried to tell you how Latinos are defined. And I basically had just left a comment in his comment section that, you're not helping. I know in Latin America in general, most people don't refer to themselves as Hispanic or Latino. They refer to themselves as their nationality. But I'm not delusional as well. I'm in America. I have to, kind of live in the world that is here, in America. And I have to, try to relate who I am to other people. And most non-Hispanics, non-Latinos are going to care that I am half Mexican and half Cuban. I mean, I don't think so. So, but he got back to me and was telling me that I wasn't a Latino, and that because I had also had mentioned that when I was a kid, because I have a lot of native blood in me, I guess a lot of whites in America when I was a child would call me the N-word. And he was laughing at that, saying, "Oh, that never happens." I mean, this is the guy you're dealing with, Matt. So
what did he say again? Say that again.
He was saying that I was never called the N-word when I was a kid because of my skin color.
Oh, he knows your background better than you. He knows your life more than you do. Yep.
Yeah, he knows my history better than I do. So, I mean, I know. I mean, you were saying that that a lot of the Argentinians were being colorist, and because people were saying, "Oh, they're not racist." They are definitely racist. They don't like natives, and for their skin and for their race.
Right.
And
by the way, I should mention Bad Empanada has shown up in the chat in my stream. He's watching my show. You see?
That, no, he's absolutely. You can go look at unless he's deleted the comments, but he absolutely said these things to me. And what is amazing though is, when I was pointing out to him and he didn't respond, that he's not exactly unusual in the types of light-skinned men that I have met both here and abroad who have said to me, who have tried to define who I am. It is kind of amazing that he doesn't have enough introspection and self-awareness that to tell someone whose parents came from this hemisphere and tell him who he is. It's really unusual for someone who is not a once conqueror but a twice over conqueror. His ancestors went to Australia, those people, and he goes to Latin America and then presumes to tell someone that has native blood what I've met racists like him all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
So anyway, that's I
it's
just wanted to get that off my
extremely
chest. And
fucked
thanks,
up
Matt.
for anyone to
And by
try
the
to
way, I'm doing okay.
rewrite
Like
your
I
own
say, now I have
experience.
a government phone.
What?
And everything's okay except for the fact that I'm still waiting on disability.
Oh. Well, I hope everything's
Anyway, got that off my chest.
All right. Well, I hope everything works out for you, my friend.
Hello, Matt?
Yeah, hello? Do you hear me?
Hello?
Wait, hold on. I think there's something wrong with Skype for a second. Hold on. Let me see what's up here.
Man, I can't hear you.
It's all good. 1 second. I see what happened. Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yep. There was my Skype thing got reset.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I was just saying, it's messed up to try to rewrite anybody's own lived experience, but people will. I didn't see the conversation between you two, but taking you for your word, it's messed up.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I mean, I know you can't take my word per se, but I would say, based on Empanada's history and based on, I think, your interactions with me, I'm confident of whom most people, and if people have remembered me from other conversations I've had on your channel, I'm pretty confident of how people take my veracity on this subject.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Peace. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, this is Uncle Adi. I see that my acolyte Badin Empanada is in the chat.
Oh, hi, Uncle
I
Adi.
congratulate him on his use of racial science yesterday by saying that Argentinians cannot be Germans, because they don't have like blonde hair or blue eyes. Very important use of phrenology. I think he must be examining his own head now, the shape of his head as we speak. Empanada, ¿te acuerdas de mí? Que me dijiste perdedor y estúpido por ayudarte con Chile. Si quieres hablar conmigo, cobarde, estoy en Discord. Puedes hablar conmigo como Thomas Jerome Newton. Estoy ahí y podemos hablar. Entiendo cuán gorila eres, porque estás defendiendo a Perón. Entiendo su importancia histórica. Eso está bien. Pero lo que sucede es que te metiste en un forro y empezaste a bardear a todo el mundo porque ya se te acabó el tema. So back to my story. So,
what did you say? Oh, Renee, you gotta Uncle Adi. Excuse me. You need to translate for the audience, please.
Yeah, I was saying that in Spanish, like in my, of course, colonizer Spanish, that he can talk to me on Discord and stuff like that. I was saying that it's okay to talk about Peron and his importance and stuff like that, but he would just got into the chat and was just talking shit. I used the Argentinian slang word for talking shit. That he can, because he's being an asshole. I said the Argentinian slang for asshole. And that because he doesn't have nothing to say anymore, that he lost any important subject to talk about, like done. Because everybody recognizes that you were good for the platform. I mean, this is me talking bad Empanada. I criticize both Russia and the Ukraine and stuff like that. I got into trouble with people. I fucked around and pissed off Michael Brooks and shit like that. I'm not carrying water for anybody. I'm my own person.
Oh, you have a history with him as well?
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, we kind of like for instance, Lance. I invited Lance to the riots and shit like that, and Lance go and visit Argentina and Bad Empanada for what good that did anybody. And on the other hand, Bad Empanada was talking about random. You're talking about Club Bad Empanada. You're nobody anymore.
Wait,
now.
wait, hold on.
You're
Why,
nobody.
I want to know why Ben Empanada, for someone who doesn't care about
A lot
clout.
of people know
Renee,
about
I
him.
know you're getting upset. Hold on, I want to Ben Empanada, for someone who's so important and doesn't care about clout. Why do you belittle people who have less of a, you're mocking Renee for just being a YouTube commenter. No one knows who you are. Don't you care about your audience? Don't you care about people, your viewers? It seems like you don't. It seems like you really care about someone being important to you. You need someone to be important for them to be worthy of your interaction because you need to get something out of it. It seems very bizarre to belittle this guy who's literally trying to talk with you. And I've seen you do it with multiple people now. I every single week on all my streams, after my hour-long interview with my guest, I open up the phone lines for my viewers to call in, and they could be anybody. They could be a nobody who just watches a show, because I cherish every person who is a viewer of mine. I know I'm a small channel, but I truly appreciate the opinion of everyone who I have who watches, so I let them call in, and I enjoy talking with them. Why are you so obsessed? Why are you so obsessed with this? It's very bizarre behavior. It's very weird.
You're a bloody wanker, mate. That's what you are. So like Matt is very important for the community, especially in Latin America. Not just because he's married or has a couple who's Peruvian and shit like that.
Hold on, he thinks
Bolivia.
he thinks this stream is about him. People can call. I did an hour-long interview with a trans activist who showed up at a Libertarian Party event to disrupt it, to call out one of its speakers for their anti-trans rhetoric. And then I do a half where people can call in. Anyone could call in. I don't ask them what they're going to talk about. I literally press a button, pick up a phone, and say, hey, what would you like to talk about? And they just bring up whatever they'd like. Being that you and I just spoke yesterday, people are calling in because they want to talk about it. I assure you that by next week, no one here will be talking about you anymore, because you're just the flavor of the week. You're just the news of the week on my channel. You'll be forgotten. Trust me, no one will be talking about you very soon. That's
Yanis Sonopoulos, Skasmo, Vladimir Malaka. Everybody's gonna forget about you. You're right. We shouldn't talk about you. We shouldn't platform you. We'll forget about you. You belong in history. You did good work. You don't do anymore. Now you're toxic. We shouldn't talk about you. Your kind of people are just Strasserites now. I don't know why you decided to follow the path of Vlasov and try to defend Nazis and try to use race science and try to go like all offended by what other people have to comment and criticize and stuff like that. You used to do good work. You used to do I'm offended because of how you supported Allende and all of that. Then all of a sudden you're trying to decide to be the Pope of South America, deciding who's a good actor and who's a bad actor. Well, just look in the mirror. So you're right. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Nobody should talk about you anymore.
This is like really sad behavior. He's currently in the chat. He's making up
real time.
He's claiming that
Grow up.
He's falsely claiming that I called him the N-word. He's saying that very bizarre behavior. That I
but that's
suck.
Looking for attention.
What is this? Let me read these comments, because this is keep sucking the dick of pedophiles and human traffickers for clout. Oh, are you QAnon, buddy? Are you a far right winger now too? Is that why? Is that why you're a Nazi defender? Is that why you're a Nazi sympathizer?
No comment chick. This is your friend. He's a transphobe.
Right.
And on the other side, he's talking about Bo, the fifth column.
Oh, is that who he's talking about? I thought he was just making people up. Yeah. Honestly, that's who I thought he was.
No, he's being transphobic.
Who's the pedophile? Who's the pedophile? I don't even know Bo. Never even spoke with him once. And who's the pedophile? Did I have you on the
Trans
show?
people,
Was
because,
that you talking about yourself
because you
when I had you
platform
on?
the trans.
Yeah, when I had you on, benefit. Such bizarre behavior. Such bizarre
Yeah,
behavior.
just forget about him. He used to be an ally and stuff like that. Now he's just nothing but a traitor. And it would be good. It would be good if he was like somebody like commenting against like the American Empire, like we try to do in different. It's very difficult to comment about the American Empire while you're within the American Empire.
Right.
But of course, from the outside, it's the idea is giving the voice to people who are outside of the American Empire, so we can contrast our point of views. That's the way you do solidarity. That's the way you do praxis. What you're doing is not praxis. So yeah, forget about him.
Yeah,
he's gone.
I mean, I literally just picked up the phone calls today. I have nothing on my schedule here. I have no one I'm supposed to talk to after the interview. You guys know how I do things here, and the callers wanted to talk about him, and that's what happened.
Right. Does anybody know about Vlasov? Does anybody know about Watan Roma, who was a guy that pretended to be on the Chilean left and then finally sold out to Pinochet? Does anybody know about Ernst Röhm? Does anybody know about the Cesar brothers? I mean, we have to forget about these people. Use them as like symbols as a lesson of how people can be toxic and can actually divide us, fighting over petty nonsense and stuff like that. But other than that, they should be forgotten.
Right.
I mean, it's a bad clown show. I mean, we can like amuse ourselves calling in as a parody and shit like that before we have to give them a voice. I mean, it's very interesting. I wanted Fuck the What All Day to call him because he's a Basque and Argentine descent, and he could like perhaps dig deeper on what I was calling about. But I mean, somebody that's kind of like arriving late at the party and stuff like that to talk about nonsense. Like everybody understands the importance of that. Argentina is the kind of politically is kind of like something complex, and they almost make it on purpose that it's complex. I mean, it's like they make fun of the children. It's like, yeah, try to understand this, ha ha ha. You know, it's like kind of like how the French make the French complicated. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it would be interesting to get Peronistas on the show and talk about like Peron, to talk about the Montoneros, to talk about the evolution of Peronismo and how it became a left-wing movement, about the importance of populism and stuff like that, and how even despite being a military man, he was cooed by military in two different points. So and how this whole kind of like a reverse thing, inspired by Washington, of course, that he got involved with how fascism turned a new leaf, just like these von Mises people, and decided to intervene with Austrian economics and non-regulation, and added like this moralistic point of view, and kind of like transformed the whole scene, and created like this toxic like contradiction in terms regarding who Peron was, and regarding what the far right and the guerrillas are. Guerrillas as the Return to Monkey, not guerrillas as guerrilla warfare. For the people that didn't understand my previous call. Right. I mean, that's historical analysis.
Yeah. Well, it seems like he's gone now. Interesting.
Right.
I guess you schooled him away, Renee.
I'm not sure. I mean, he's just going to pretend that he's just trolling at this point. It's
right.
Like,
he's He's I've you know I'm
It's the better thing. The better thing is to just call him a bad actor. Forget about him. I mean, he belongs to the past. He did good work, but as I say to Rem in other opportunities, like time is a continuum, and what a person did before is good. It should be appreciated. But what they do now is important, and if they're a bad actor now, it's time to just wash your hands of them.
all right.
Right. Peace.
Have a
So
great
you can
night,
get some
Renee.
rest.
Yep. Have a great night, my friend. Peace. I was gonna call it a night. I was ready to. I'm tired, man. I'm tired. Let me read the super chats. Let me read the ones from last. Oh, we got another call. I'm running out of. All right. Well, I pull up the super chats. I'll give you really quick. Omega. It's Omega, right?
Yeah, it is.
Really quick, my friend. I'm about to pull up the super chats.
All right. Well, I wanted to get into the thing I mentioned in that other week on Leftist Mafia about the crash there. So it was an update on that. So I knew one of the people there, and I had met her mother who was there. And unfortunately, they're in the ongoing case now, so I don't know how much I can really say outside of her mother. Unfortunately, was in the accident, passed. Her niece was actually in the stroller and then came off the best because didn't have to go to any kind of physical rehab or anything like that. And they're in an ongoing case, and I hope they pretty much get all the money out of it and really make blackball those fucking cops, because it's pretty fucked up, honestly. Like it really, because I would see these videos about police chasing and whatnot, and at this point, we should just stop it. At this point, I hear in other countries they don't even do that shit because they're like, why are we going to endanger people and then just chase them up and down if they're going to be like going like 80 miles per hour or something like that, or something dumb like that. But that's an unfortunate thing and unfortunate update. Also, the Jordan Neely situation, personal connection to it. I had a friend who the week before had their phone stolen by him actually, and when he used to find my iPhone, he asked him, "Hey, do you still have my phone? I could pay you for it, and then as long as you have it, it's totally fine." And he said he unfortunately sold it to somebody else, but he was less mad and more so just like really, felt pretty awful for him. And then that shit happens literally a week later in the train, and it's pretty jacked up. And I hope this guy I hope he specifically gets a murder charge, and the people who held Jordan Neely down get some kind of like accessory related charge. I don't know how it totally works for regards, but I hope they get the rap for it too, because it's not okay. Because they held him down because he probably could have gotten loose, and like I think after a point Jordan would have, like, if he was able to shake himself loose, and he would have probably ran out and that's it. And I really believe that this guy who did it also is a trans fight, because I mean, for sure, Alan could probably verify this, and anybody else who's from New York can verify this. Ola too. When you see a person having a mental health crisis in the train, you can typically keep your distance. Like, somebody might give him food, somebody might give him money, but you typically keep your distance at the end of the day, because you just don't know.
Right.
Something could happen. You could get a guy or something like that, or worse, and you don't want that to happen. Because
it's disgusting. It's really disgusting what happened. In so many ways. I mean, just how we know what happened actually, from eyewitnesses who didn't step in, but I think are going to be very important to breaking down exactly what Jordan Neely was and wasn't doing. And
at least it didn't leave too much up to speculation, because that's the other problem. And then now I see it's just like the constant tripling down of like, oh, whatever, and like I'm like, and the mayor just like super, just constantly just like with this nonsense. And then he wants to keep slashing every other thing in relation to like the public just to get more money to cops. And then there's a picture going around on Twitter of like cops in one station uptown, like in the Upper West Side, I want to say. And it's like, why are you in a train station for what? Did you bust somebody? Was it a drug bust? If it was a drug bust, it makes a little bit of sense, but there doesn't need to be 30 yet. It's like all these things happen. You know how I know it doesn't mean anything? Because the fact that anybody who's not a cis man still has to allocate a budget when they go out late enough because the trains still don't feel safe and like the cops are not doing anything, that tells me everything right there. It's like there's always, and it's always like, and if it's two of them, there's always the really gung-ho ex-military guy who's jacked up and he looks like, and you probably think he probably is like an abusive person at home. And then you see the other guy who's just there for the paycheck, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. He doesn't say a word. He's just like the tag along. And they look reminiscent of like the big bad Harley Davidson, that little cart next to it. That's the vibe that it gives off. But anyhow, it's just embarrassing for my city as a whole too. And it's like, this is what we get, and then this is what happens when less than 1 million people vote after the historic turnout for Joe Biden. I wish I could say I was surprised, but it's like, that's an insult to like, or disappointed, but that's an insult to disappointment. It's just like really abysmal how like so many people just act like, okay, I'm done. I just voted for Joe Biden so we could get Donald Trump. Our work is done here. It's like, no, it's not. It's not. But too many unelected people have so many anyway, so it's like, it's all doomer from there pretty much. So. Yeah.
Right.
I said the thing on the show called Doom. It's great. Anyhow, yeah. I don't want to keep you too long there. I just wanted to say my spiel about two of those things because I never had too much of a chance there to call in about it. But yeah. Anyhow, and is someone asking in the chat, is it back?
She I believe she is. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I saw her make some videos again, and like I saw her video after everything.
I still don't know. Because I should watch because I should find out what's going on, being that she's on the show. But yeah. I really haven't been. I don't pay attention to this sort of stuff. Sadly, I don't have the time really. But I need to take a look and see what people are saying. I mean, I don't think
it looks like an honest mistake on her part, and that she talked about like various things that she's had over the years, and it's kind of like, and it's definitely from a more like sincere and earnest point of view. So it's like, I think any mistake that she made along the way, she's definitely owned up to it on that stuff. So when you watch it, you'll see it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit of a long video, and then like a lot of the details and stuff like that. But she, I feel like she definitely takes ownership of that. Whatever. That's the only YouTuber apology I felt like they actually really took ownership of. You know, and that's saying a lot considering a lot of things that's happened lately amongst the leftist spaces and stuff like that. But yeah, yeah. Looking forward to seeing her back on there. It's been pretty good like the last few weeks also. I love the 420 show because the late for like the first hour is like super mellow and the lights dim, and then like the second hour she wakes right up. I just love that so much because I'm like, it's like I feel like the show is too quiet. What's missing here? But yeah. It's been pretty good. Everybody's been killing on there. Telling my said so, but you know.
All right,
yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, so you have a good night, and yeah, this last month with the girls in school is gonna be quite something, huh?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, my kid got into like a scuffle with somebody, so that's.
Oh wait, what did you say? I'm sorry, I misheard because I was reading something here. What did you say? Your kid got into a scuffle?
A little thing, yeah, on a trip.
Are they
whatever,
okay?
And I'm like, literally the first, yeah. It's like the second it gets warm, and I'm like, watch some stupid stuff. It's like it's the inciting temperature for stuff to pop off. Like here we go, pretty much. Like in general, yeah. Anyhow, yeah, I'll stop rambling.
No, it's all good. Have a great night.
You too, man. Later.
Peace. Let me read those super chats. It's getting late. Give me a second here. Pulling up the super chats. Oh, I forgot to thank all the patrons that joined. Let me quickly shout out to the patrons. All right, let's go back then. Jeffrey J. Secret Asian Dan. I like that name. Lauren. Philippe from Paris. And Nate B. Thank you so much for becoming patrons over the past week. Really appreciate it. Can't do it without you guys. Oh, shit. Dylan Burns rated me. Thank you so much, Dylan. And thank you. Hello to all you raiders from Dylan's channel. I'm going to read some super chats and read some Twitch. Let me get to the Twitch stuff first. So thank you, Dylan and Ravana, for the raids today. 420 Vampire 69 resubscribed for 1 month at tier 1. Subscriber for 18 months. Thank you so much. Tokyo Hans with resubscribe with Prime. Subscriber for 11 months. Trainer Annie Dem subscribed with Prime. Thank you so much. Trashomancer with the cheered bits. Thank you so much. New York Ancient or NY Ancient cheered bits too. And same with Valanova. Oh, this was from about the Doug thing that I was giving Doug too much credit. Valanova also gave out 5 community gift subs and gave me an extra 1,000 bits too. Thank you so much. And I think that's everyone over on... Oh, the Mick being carried. Resubscriber Prime. Subscriber for 2 months. Awesome. Cool. Thank you. And now let's go to the super chats. Let's see. This is from yesterday. Renee, of course, certain elements in the U.S. benefited from the Nazi diaspora throughout the world, including the CIA. Perón was a populist. Plus, you forget Perón was succeeded by a dictator Arambe that also protected Nazis following Evita's death. Mentioned Carlos Fuldner and Rodolfo Freund. The Mick with a super chat. Look, he went to Argentina and did not see any there, Matt. DC K-Punk with a super chat from yesterday. Supposed leftist, you sound like Bellingcat, is very normal framing. It's funny that he mentioned the Bellingcat thing yesterday when Elon Musk is out there saying the same thing about Bellingcat as a white supremacist. I guess we know where... Dietrich, why am I watching an Australian man pretend he's a native Argentinian? Renee with the super chat, explain why he celebrated Pinochet being Mexican. We have a term for such Nazis here in Chile, more Nazis. Was it more Nazis or more Nazis? He's using a race science argument, racist talking points. Patrick Kogan with super chats, have him explain what mulatto means. Renee says, ask him if he's certainly a transphobe. Jay Rude with a super chat, is he a Nazi? It's not unmanly to CWY, lol. They're both fun to watch. Jay Rude, that was Jesse B with the super chat. What's unmanly to what? I don't even know what they're talking about. He's talking about. Jay Rude, typical Empanada L. The Mick with a super chat. To be honest, so many of these content creators just prove how unserious they are about everything under the sun if you just let them talk for 5 minutes. Reckoning Collective Media with a $20 super chat from yesterday. Thank you so much. Raphael with a super chat as well. Rachel Atwood with the super chat. Can I offer a guest to discuss far right in Ukraine? Absolutely. This is from yesterday, and then Rachel called in today. Absolutely. Parker, will DeSantis announce for 2024 before the end of May? I don't know. Jesse from the West, or Jess from the West, with the super chat. Dollar Store Sam Cedar, Binder, you're at least worth 5. Thank you. The Matt Mercy, how do we call in? Skype. Oh, this was from yesterday, and you did call in, Matt Mercy. Yes, yes. Tanya with the super chat. Love your live streams and interaction with callers. I'm learning a lot about how to listen to others from you. Very respectful engagement. Good night. Thank you. Kowalski with a super chat. Matt is our hero. No, I'm not. JC with a super chat. Unrelated, but are you a member of a labor union? I am. I am a member of the News Guild. I am a member of a labor union. Tokyo Hans with a super chat. I am Austrian and I've been to Argentina and around South America a couple of times. Only in Argentina have I had people talk to me in bad German and talk about Nazis, even though I am fluent in Spanish. Well, that is just an experience that you've had, sure. The Wasting Times. Hey, Ogle, with a super chat. Dylan Burns covered your whole debate. Oh, what did Dylan Burns say about it? Oye says most of his viewers are just doing the same as him, extrapolating points Binder never made, drawing random conclusion, adding random shit, and just insulting Binder. Right? I mean, that's all they got. What did Dylan Burns say? And Ole says the comments on this guy's YouTube video are nuts. I actually haven't. I haven't gone over there. I checked for yesterday when I was doing my live stream so I could stream him. He took it down and that was it. And then someone told me he uploaded his own video, an edited version of the live stream. Oh, he DM'd me on Twitter too. This dude is weird. I'm gonna stay away. I think something is wrong with him. You're literally obsessed now. LMAO. Gonna be licking your wounds for months. What? Very weird. Very weird dude. I think I'm not gonna even bother anymore. But what did Dylan say? I'm interested in what Dylan had to say. Dylan's dealt with BE for a while now. He mainly pointed out how he'll use someone else's point to rant about unrelated shit. Burns sounded frustrated that debate went in circles. Well, right. He's Blackened the Borg says he's literally tweeted about you constantly for the last 2 days. Like subtweeting? I honestly DM'd him because I saw him going at me when he was adding me a couple days ago, like last week actually. I told him simply, let's do it on Monday. And then I watched his live stream on my stream. That's the totality of my interactions with him. Very bizarre. Very weird dude. He's added me to his enemies list and talks about how pathetic you are. Very weird dude. I wonder how many times he's looked to check if his YouTube video was beating mine. That's funny. Because he seems very obsessed with that from those comments that were sent to me. Alan says he took the video down. No, but then he re-uploaded. Someone sent me the link. He re-uploaded an edited version, and he's very upset that my video has more views than his. He's like obsessed with it because all these comments with other people were pointing out, dude, you kept talking about clout, how you had this big channel and you promoted your clout to Matt, and his video has more views than yours. And he's very upset that, and he kept saying in the comments that I saw that were sent to me, he kept saying like, oh, you wait, mine's gonna have way more views than his. You wait, I just re-uploaded mine. You wait. And my video still has a lot more views than his. All right, I think that's it. I think that's the show for tonight. Very funny stuff. I'm just gonna ignore him. The only time I'm gonna talk about him is if anyone calls in to ask me questions, because I'm always open. Nothing's off limits to discuss with me. But I'm done with that dude. He's very weird. All right, everyone. I appreciate the show, the watching. Oh, who should I rate on Twitch? Who should I rate on Twitch? Who should I rate over on Twitch? Oh yeah, and be sure to watch my version of the debate, obviously, because it's gonna really make him angry that I have more views than his. Kowalski with a super chat. Good days give happiness, bad days give experiences, worst days give lessons, and best days give memories. Today was a good day. Of course. Who's Doodle Bird? Let me look that person up on Twitch. Maybe that's who I'll rate. Let's see. Jeff the Strider with a super chat. Thanks for the good show. Good interview with Rem. Thank you. Doodle, what is it? Doodle. Is Kanye on right now? Is Andrea on right now? I don't see. I'm looking. I don't see. I'm looking to see who's on right now. Oh, I see Kanye. Who's SQI? That person's not on. You gotta give me someone who's on. Wait, who's my colleague? Who's on right now that's my colleague? Andrea, I don't see her on though. I'm looking, I don't see her name's not showing up. No, I know who Andrea. She's been on this show before, but I don't see her on. Ariana Jasmine's not on either. All right, I see a lot of people saying Conyer, and Conyer's showing up on my thing, so I'm gonna go with Conyer. Let's do that. I don't see Andrea on though. It's not showing up in my raid list when I type her name. Wait, not even a show is on? Should I do not even a show? Yeah, let's do. I've never done not even a show. I've rated everyone else you're mentioning before. Let's do not even a show. Only because I'm usually not streaming when they are. So let's do it. All right, everyone. Have a great night. Patreon.com/MattBinder, YouTube.com/MattBinder, Twitch.tv/MattBinder, at MattBinder on Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, and everywhere where you could find me on social media. Have a great night.